Chapter 47:28. She was born into a prestigious family and had never been wronged in her life after marrying into the Hua family. However, today she was insulted by the little girl. She was very angry. "Sichen, let's go." Jiang Hong was very angry and stood up. "Sister Mian, I bought the gift. Don't refuse it. Thank you for treating me to dinner the other day." After Hua Sichen said this, Hua Min noticed a few intricate bags under the table. He didn't know what was inside. However, Hua Sichen said it very softly. Other than Hua Min, no one else heard it. Hua Min didn't move at all. Perhaps only the female leads in idol dramas would say, "Hey, don't go. Take your things. We don't want them." However, Hua Min didn't. The Hua family had never given him any benefits over the years. Hua Jinghai, as a father, had never fulfilled his obligations. Therefore, she felt that it was natural to accept gifts. After all, it was the Hua family's money. Her mother had suffered a lot back then. This little bit of money was nothing. After those people left, Yang Meirong sighed slightly. "Mom, what did that old witch say to you?" Yang Meirong looked up with a heavy heart. "She said that she wants me to send you back to the Hua family. She'll raise you and provide you with the best education. You'll live like a princess and never have to worry about food or clothing." Don't listen to her bullshit. That old witch wants to use me. She's not that kind. She thinks that I have good grades and can be used as a shield. When I graduate and go back to work at the Hua family, I'll still be under her control. She probably can't control Xinjiani anymore. She doesn't have any children of her own, and Hua Sichen is an adopted son. Xinjiani gave birth to 2 children, a boy and a girl, and the heartless man likes them. So, she's looking for reinforcements for herself. Mom knows everything you said. Mom, are you wavering? Hua Min felt that his mother was a little off today. Actually, there's nothing wrong with this. You're a good seedling. Staying here will only hinder you. Mian. When Yang Meirong said this, her eyes were already filled with tears. Mom, what are you talking about? Our family hasn't been doing well these past few years, but you haven't mistreated me. After Jixin was born, Uncle Jing went out to work. We've been trying our best to maintain this family of 4. We don't have what the Hua family has, but the peace and tranquility we have is something the Hua family doesn't have. Money can't buy that. Compared to an empty house with billions of dollars, I still prefer this poor but warm family. Hua Min's words made Yang Meirong cry. She didn't speak, but Jixin suddenly ran out. Mom, please, don't send my sister away. I really love her. Hua Min felt bad and patted Jixin's head. Mom, I've grown up and earned money. I can take care of you, Dad, and my sister. I'm a man and I want to take care of this family. But please don't let my sister go. She's a very important member of our family and we can't live without her. Jixin's words made Hua Min almost cry. She rubbed her eyes. Alright, stop being sentimental. Come, open it and see what the Hua family bought for us. Sis, we can't accept this. We can't be so spineless, Jixin said. Wrong. This is an apology the Hua family owes Mom. They haven't given you anything good all these years. This is nothing. With that, Hua Min squatted down, pulled out the bag and opened the packaging with Jixin. She was surprised. She thought it would be exquisite snacks or something like that. After all, the Hua family was famous for being stingy. She didn't expect it to be some tableware. It was porcelain and looked very expensive. There was also a stainless steel wok. It was super practical. Hua Min had seen it in the supermarket. It was very expensive, about 1,000 yuan each. The one she had was only 98 yuan, so it couldn't compare. Oh my god, what is this? Jixin opened a box and screamed. Chapter 47:29. Hua Min looked in Jixin's direction and was slightly surprised. There were 3 sets of thermal underwear. One of them was dark purple in color. Hua Min looked at the size and saw that it was his mother's. There was also a man's set, navy blue in Jixin's size. The bottom one was light yellow in Hua Min's size. Autumn in the north was very short. Sometimes it would start snowing in October. People who lived in buildings had collective heating. Hua Min's bungalow had their own stove. They would buy some cheap coal, but if the coal wasn't burned well, it was easy to get carbon monoxide poisoning. Everyone knew that coal wasn't good, but they had no choice but to buy the cheapest. However, even if they burned coal, the eastern suburbs would still be extremely cold in winter. Hua Min sometimes had to cover himself with 2 cups and hug a hot water bag to sleep. The thermal underwear was too expensive. If they bought 3 at once, it would cost 3 to 4,000 yuan. This was a huge sum of money for this family. Now that there were 3 sets of thermal underwear, Hua Min's mood was really complicated. It was obvious that these weren't from Jiang Hong. That woman of hers wouldn't be so considerate. It seemed that Hua Sichen really bought them. Wow. We're going to be happy this winter. Sis, we have thermal underwear and it's from a famous brand. Jishin held the underwear and couldn't put it down. Huamin's mood was a little complicated. He didn't say anything and continued to unwrap the packaging. There were also 4 cans of milk powder. However, it was the kind that teenagers drank. It contained calcium, iron, zinc, and selenium. It was obviously for students' brains. These health supplements cost more than 300 yuan per can. 4 cans would cost more than 1,000 yuan. They really couldn't afford it, but Hua Xiqian bought it. Milk powder. Damn, this brand is very famous. Many of our classmates drink it. Jishin's voice was even more excited. It seems that Jiang Hong spent a lot of money to win us over, Yang Meirong said coldly. No, Mom, Jiang Hong didn't buy these. She doesn't have the time to buy so many things for us. Oh? It's not her, it's a gift from Hua Xiqian. He's a very meticulous person. Perhaps he's trying to win us over, so he gave us some small favors. Then this child's brain is really not simple. She really needs to think before buying these things. It's not that just because she has money she needs to pick them one by one. In that instant, Huamin also felt that Hua Xiqian was not a simple person. Jishin continued to open the box and screamed again. Sis, look, 2 Parker pens, 1 for you and 1 for me, even the fountain pens were branded. Jishin couldn't stay calm anymore. I gave it all to you. I don't want it. Are you stupid? It's very expensive. Jishin reminded his sister. It doesn't matter what I use. I'm giving it to you. Huamin had never liked these brands. After all, a person wearing a short-sleeved shirt that cost less than 1,000 yuan would feel too out of place if he used a fountain pen that cost more than 1,000 yuan. She really didn't want to humiliate herself. At the end, Huamin saw a pair of shoe boxes. It was from Nike. She opened it and saw that it was white, a women's fall-winter style. She could wear it immediately. It was a very simple white shoe with a green Nike logo. This shoe was the hottest item this year, and many people in second high were wearing it. It was said that it cost 1,390 yuan a pair. It was said that it was very durable, comfortable, breathable, and didn't rub your feet. Huamin really liked sports shoes. The one on her feet was a very small brand that was on sale, and it only cost 69 yuan a pair. She had to admit that she liked the white shoes from the first time she saw them. However, she felt that it would be strange if she wore them. After all, they were given by Hua Xiqian. No wonder you gave me the fountain pen. So you have a big trick up your sleeve. Jishin thought that Huamin knew in advance. These shoes are really nice. Mian, you don't have many shoes, wear these, her mother encouraged. Chapter 47:30. As for why Hua Xiqian gave her shoes, she guessed that it was because they met every time. Hua Xiqian saw that she was wearing 69 yuan sneakers. It looked a little shabby, so he bought it, right? Huamin wasn't that noble. As long as it was beneficial to him and didn't violate his principles, he would accept it. Hua Xiqian bought these shoes that their family could use. Therefore, Huamin calmly persuaded his mother to put them away. As for the thermal underwear, he even tried the size himself. It was really good. As for the shoes, Huamin didn't wear them. She always felt that it wasn't a good sign for a guy to give a girl a pair of shoes for no reason. Therefore, she quietly put them in the corner and sealed them. She didn't wear them, but she didn't throw them away either. After eating his mother's vegetable and pork noodles, Jishin went to do his homework. Huamin took a quick shower and went back to his room. Then he picked up a novel and read it with great interest. Just then his phone rang. It was Qin calling. Back then, the internet hadn't been popularized in the country. Most people's phones weren't smart either. Moreover, the phone bill was quite expensive. Even if it was a call in the city, it would cost 20 cents per minute. Huamin was the kind of person who only picked up and didn't call. Sometimes, his heart ached when he replied to too many messages. After all, it was 10 cents per message. It wasn't like now where he could casually use WeChat. Huamin nervously picked up the phone. His heart seemed to secretly race. Hello. As expected, she pretended to be calm when she picked up the phone. Did you tell your mom about that? I forgot. She didn't mean to. She really forgot about it. It was all Hua Xiqian and Jiang Hong's fault. Then tell her right now. You're not joking. Are you serious? Of course. Can we come back in 2 days? Huamin was a bit worried. Go on Friday and come back on Sunday. The time is just right. What? Are you afraid you can't finish your homework? If there's a lot of homework, I won't be able to finish it. I can help you write it. What? Huamin thought he heard wrong. Qin actually said that he would help her with her homework. What about you? Huamin wondered if he was going to finish the homework of 2 people. Unexpectedly, Qin Chu faintly said, "You don't have to thank me. You win." Huamin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "If I feel uncomfortable, I can bring along Gao Ran and Zhu Lingling." "I'm fine with anything," Qin Chu reminded. After being reminded by Qin Chu, Huamin felt embarrassed. After all, he sounded as if he didn't trust the other party. "Forget it, Lingling wants to survive in the wild. She's your best friend, why didn't she say no to Lu Xing?" Qin Chu was a bit unhappy with Zhu Lingling's participation in this activity. "She's always looking for trouble. She's going to go against Lu Xing. I told her not to go, but she wouldn't listen. She's been very angry lately." Zhu Lingling naturally had to take care of Huamin's emotions. However, she wasn't going to take advantage of her by participating in the survival in the wild. "I see." Qin Chu finally understood Zhu Lingling's intentions. She was indeed a weirdo. "Then you can go and tell Auntie. Our company's car will take us there after school on Friday." "Okay, I'll go and talk to her first. My mom will probably agree." Huamin was conflicted. She didn't like to lie, but this time she had to. After all, she couldn't just say that she was going on an outing with a male classmate. If her mother heard that, wouldn't she go crazy? Chapter 47:31. Huamin came to the yard with a troubled look on his face. It was already 9 o'clock. Her mother was still knitting a scarf for her and Jixin. She bought the wool for cheap and her mother knitted it skillfully. It was almost winter and she could use it. Huamin poured a glass of warm water and walked to his mother. "Mom, drink some water first, and rest." "Okay." Yang Meirong happily took the water and put down the ball of wool in her hand. "Mom, I want to tell you something." "Speak." "This weekend, our class is going on a wilderness survival trip. We'll be back on Sunday. The teachers and students will go." "Okay, we'll go too. How much do we have to pay?" Yang Meirong was about to take out money from her pants pocket. "No, Mom. A girl's family sponsored it. Her father is a businessman and has an outdoor clothing brand. They prepared everything for us, including food." "It's free?" Yang Meirong was surprised. Huamin nodded. "Oh, that's a good thing. But we can't take advantage of them. We have to give them something in return. A few days ago, I went with the neighbors and dug up a lot of wild vegetables and mushrooms. You can give them to them. They're pure green and can't be bought on the market." There's no need. They might not care about these things." "Nonsense. Rich people like to eat these pure green products. They have the effect of lowering blood sugar and blood fat. They're very good." Unable to resist his mother's persuasion, Huamin had no choice but to follow his mother to find the wild vegetables. He washed them and wrapped them in cling film. She wondered if Qin Chu would reject her if she brought this to him. That would be embarrassing. In the blink of an eye, it was Friday. Everyone was excited. Lu Xing was still looking for an opportunity to persuade Qin Chu. Qin Chu ignored her, making her unable to speak. Zhu Lingling, on the other hand, was very excited. She leaned into Huamin's ear and said, "This time I'll avenge you and kill that evil woman." No, no, no. There's no deep hatred, why do you have to? Who are you talking about? Fly Lu is always picking on you. It's okay. She didn't do anything to me." Huamin smiled slightly. "That won't do. I've already thought about it. I'm going to bring my own caterpillar there, and then take the opportunity to put it on her." "I don't think so. You'll scare me to death." Huamin was also afraid of insects. "Don't be afraid. That woman is so vicious. She might just eat it. After all, it's high in protein." Ugh. Huamin suddenly felt nauseous. After school, everyone left through the west gate. Lu Xing's father hired a big bus. The students were all taken away in the car. Teacher Yao also went. There was also a small bus dedicated to the students' necessities. They had really spent a lot of money on this. When the other classes heard about this matter, they were all very envious. Surprisingly, there were also classes that started to follow suit. Every class had quite a number of nouveau riche and rich second-generation heirs. Therefore, it was not difficult to go on a 2-day trip. Those students who were not well-to-do could just take advantage of it. "Come with me." Seeing Huamin staring blankly at the students who were leaving, Qin Chu couldn't stand it. He didn't want the girl he liked to be wronged. He thought that this was the feeling that all boys at that age had. After Qin Chu led Huamin out of the front gate, they saw a silver BMW X6 parked there. Qin Chu opened the door and let Huamin into the car. Then he sat in the back seat. "Young master." The driver hurriedly greeted. "Let's go." "Okay, sit tight." Then the car started. Huamin really didn't bring anything other than a backpack. Qin Chu took out 2 bottles of mineral water, opened them and handed them to her. Thank you. Chin Chu didn't say anything. After a while he said gently, "It'll take 3 hours on the highway. Bear with it for a while. When we arrive we'll eat." Chapter 47:32. Okay. Huamin nodded shyly. They didn't talk much along the way. After all, there was a driver in front of them. What did you tell your parents?" "I said we were going on an outing. But I told my dad that we were going to our own hotel." "You told them the truth?" Huamin was slightly surprised. "Yes." Huamin felt very guilty. Then there was no more movement. The driver was very smart. He knew that his young master had a girlfriend. Along the way they played soothing music. On the way, Chin Chu took out some snacks from a bag in the car for Huamin to eat. Huamin only ate one piece of chocolate. Then she felt a little sleepy. She lay on the armchair and fell asleep. Until she fell asleep, she was still holding the study bag in her hands. She was very cute. Chin Chu was holding the notebook. He was looking at the company's second quarter's data comparison. Then he heard a soft sound of sleep. Only then did he know that she had fallen asleep. "Young master, there's an air-conditioned blanket in the back." The driver reminded him. Chin Chu turned his head. He took out an air-conditioned blanket, opened the packaging and covered Huamin with it. But before that he took down the study bag in her arms. Huamin's study bag was black. It was a little old. She had been carrying it. Moreover, the style was now outdated. Chin Chu silently memorized this in his heart. At this moment, a strange idea suddenly appeared in his mind. He suddenly wanted to see what was in this girl's bag. Chin Chu quietly unzipped Huamin's old bag. At the top was a stationery box. Then there were 3 or 4 textbooks. There was also a cup. He shook it. There was still water in it. Further down, there was actually another bag of raw materials. Chin Chu took it out. It was actually wild vegetables and some mushrooms. But maybe because she had been holding it in for a day, it was a little soft. Chin Chu quickly opened the bag to let in some air. He thought that this might be the pure green food that Huamin had brought himself. At the bottom of the pile was Huamin's wallet. It was a very cute cartoon wallet. It was pink in color and there was a picture of an anime girl on it. This was a purse that many girls in junior high liked. However, the price was very common, only 49 yuan. His mother had bought it for Huamin's birthday 3 years ago. At that time, Huamin was only in the first year of high school. He liked it very much and had been using it ever since. Chin Chu hesitated for a moment before opening Huamin's wallet. There were 2 RMB notes inside. One was a 100 yuan note, and the other was a 5 yuan wallpaper. 105 yuan was already a lot. This was Huamin's allowance for 2 weeks. Initially, her mother was worried that it wasn't enough and wanted to give her more. All these years, Yang Meirong had never owed her anything. Even later, they found out that Huamin was the daughter of Professor Liu and Dr. Linya. She didn't give birth to her, but after raising her for so many years, she loved her more than her own. Chin Chu's heart ached a little. He knew that Huamin was very restrained when it came to spending money. Other than occasionally treating Zhu Lingling to drinks and food, he didn't spend much of his money. Most of the time, he ate tomato scrambled eggs and celery shredded potatoes in the cafeteria. That was because these 2 dishes were cheap and delicious. Huamin didn't dare to think about sweet and sour pork ribs or roasted chicken drumsticks. He rarely ate them unless it was a special occasion. Chin Chu's heart ached. He was born to be an elite, so he didn't know the hardships of the common people. He didn't want to care about the hardships of the common people because it had nothing to do with him. However, Huamin was related to him. Therefore, Chin Chu's next move was to take out his wallet and put a few notes into Huamin's wallet. Finally, he quietly returned everything to its original place except for the wild vegetables. Chapter 47:33. After a while, they arrived at the toll station. The car drove slowly. Huamin woke up in a daze. "Are we almost there?" "Yes, there's still 20 minutes, Chin Chu replied calmly. Huamin lowered his head and suddenly saw the wild vegetables. He was dumbfounded. "How did you find it?" "I found it in your bag." "You actually went through my bag?" Huamin felt that Chin Chu would not do such an uncultured thing. He was furious. "Yes. Why? Why did you do that?" Huamin raised his voice. The driver in front quickly turned around to look. Chin Chu was still calm. "Because I faintly smelled the fragrance of wild vegetables." This sentence completely turned Huamin's anger into laughter. "You're talking nonsense." "It's true. I want to ask you. Since you're here, why didn't you share it with me? You drank my water and ate my chocolate." Huamin did not know whether to laugh or cry. He thought to himself, why is a big boy so calculative? I don't eat it raw. I need to stir-fry it or cook it and dip it in meat sauce. That's good. When we arrive at the hotel, I'll pass it to the kitchen. Anyway, you're not allowed to eat it secretly. Since I brought it here, I don't plan to eat it secretly. It's good that you don't mind. My mom picked these from the mountains and didn't spend any money. Huamin had just finished speaking and did not wait for Qin to speak. The middle-aged driver was the first to lose his calm. He said weakly, "Young master, can you share some with me? My wife's blood sugar is a little high. I heard this is very effective. What do you think?" Qin did not dare to agree directly. He directly asked Huamin, "Little girl, thank you. Can you share some with me?" "Yes, anything is fine. As long as you like it." Huamin smiled. "No, I want to eat it too." Qin was stubborn to the end. She was actually jealous of her own driver. Huamin smiled and said, Okay. You two can each take half, okay?" With that said, Huamin quickly used a bag to give half of the wild vegetables and mushrooms to the driver. "Thank you, young lady." The driver was very happy. Qin hurriedly hugged the remaining wild vegetables in his arms, afraid that someone would snatch them away. After driving for another 20 minutes, the sky was completely dark. Because it was already 5 o'clock when school ended. 3 hours later it was already 8 o'clock. The car drove directly to the entrance of the resort. Huamin glanced at the luxurious hotel with more than 10 floors. One look and one could tell that it wasn't cheap. As soon as the car stopped, the lobby manager came over. She was a beautiful young lady. "Young master, the chairman has already called and asked us to treat you well. Come with us, we'll send your luggage to your room first. You and your friends can go to the restaurant first, the food is already prepared." Qin nodded. He didn't say anything. He was still as cold as ever. The luggage and backpack were all taken away by the waiter. Qin brought Huamin to the restaurant. He ordered the people to prepare food and accommodation for the driver. Qin brought Huamin to the elevator and went to the revolving restaurant on the top floor. Unexpectedly, there were only the two of them in the revolving restaurant. Then what was even more shocking was that it was a buffet. There were both Chinese and Western dishes. Just the Chinese dishes alone numbered more than 30. There was also Japanese sashimi and sashimi. There was also Thai pineapple rice and Indonesian pancakes. It was simply luxurious to the extreme. "Is it too wasteful for just the two of us to eat? The two of us will finish in an hour. Dinner will be served here at 9:30. It will only be open then," Qin explained patiently. Then he took a plate and placed it in Huamin's hand. "Here, take whatever you want to eat." Then he added, "It's a bit tiring on the road, you can eat more." Huamin's heart warmed. Qin seemed to only be pleasant to her. This really wasn't narcissistic. Chapter 47-34. Huamin smiled and nodded. "Okay, I'll do it myself. I promise I won't stand on ceremony with you." It was already 8 o'clock in the evening. She was indeed very hungry. Lunch was at 12 o'clock and she was already growling. Although Qin had given her some snacks and fruits on the way, Huamin was still very hungry. Huamin loved rice all her life. It was as if she wouldn't be full if she didn't eat rice. Therefore she didn't hold back at all. She picked up the plate and picked up her favorite food. Qin on the other hand was very simple. He just picked up a piece of freshly grilled steak and a few pieces of cantaloupe. He took a glass of lemonade and paired it with the wild vegetables that Huamin brought. It was a mix of Chinese and Western food. Perhaps it was because Qin father also studied abroad. Qin previous diet was more foreign. Breakfast sandwiches and bread had more milk, or German-style grilled sausages. Therefore his food had always been exquisite and simple, but he also liked Chinese food. Ever since he fell in love with Huamin, he realized that this girl couldn't live without rice for all 3 meals. Moreover, she liked to eat all kinds of stir-fried dishes, so Qin was a little led astray. Huamin brought back a plate full of food. It was really a mix of Chinese and Western food. There was everything. There were donuts, egg-fried rice, pineapple buns, braised pork, crab claws and Korean fried rice cakes. You can get more. Qin was afraid that she wouldn't be full. "It's okay, I'll finish eating first. Otherwise it'll be a waste." With that, Huamin lowered her head and wolfed down the food. During this time, she would raise her head from time to time and look at Qin. She realized that he would occasionally eat a piece of steak, but more often than not, he would eat those wild vegetables. "Is it good?" Huamin asked him. Actually, most of those wild vegetables tasted the same. They were fragrant but a little bitter. Every year her mother would bring some back. She and Jixin were already tired of eating them. However, she liked to eat wild vegetables and meat dumplings. "Well, it tastes good. Do you want to try it? Chin Chu picked up some and asked her. No, my family makes a lot of it every year. I'm sick of it. I still like meat. After saying that, Huamin lowered his head and started eating, not caring about his image. Chin Chu smiled slightly. He didn't say anything either. Huamin was really hungry, so she ate a lot. But no matter what, she was only a teenage girl. His eyes were big, but his appetite was small, so the space in his stomach was limited. Huamin was so full that he couldn't take it anymore. After dinner, the two of them went out. Without waiting for Chin Chu to speak, Huamin said, I think I need to go out for a walk. I need to digest. If I lie down and sleep, not only will I gain weight, my stomach won't be able to take it. All right. Chin Chu nodded and followed behind Huamin. The two of them walked out one after another, chatting and laughing. The beautiful receptionists at the hotel started gossiping. The chairman's son is so handsome. He's so good-looking at such a young age. What will he look like when he grows up? That's young master's girlfriend, right? She looks average. But young master likes her. Think about it, young master even brought her to Yunding Mountain. You can see how much he loves her. Every year, it's the chairman who brings madam and young master to Yunding Mountain. He never brings outsiders. Aya, whose family's young lady, is so lucky. She knows how to marry into a rich family at such a young age. Unlike us, who are waitresses our whole lives. Stop dreaming. How can puppy love bear fruit these days? Young master is still young, he's just playing around. He's still young and doesn't understand love. When he grows up, who knows how many women he'll hurt. Just that face of his is enough to make everyone fall for him. Huamin thought that it would be dark at night since they were halfway up the mountain. Who knew that when they came out, they would find the night view of the hotel very beautiful. There was a huge fountain in front of the hotel, surrounded by colorful neon lights. Chapter 47:35. Wow, it's so beautiful here. Yes, when Grandpa was still alive, he liked this mountain range. Later, when he fell ill, my dad wanted to help Grandpa fulfill his wish and built this place. Unfortunately, Grandpa passed away before he could even take a look at it. But after it was built, it was really beautiful. My dad brought me and my mom here every year. Part of it is because we miss Grandpa, and the other part is because the air here is really good and suitable for a vacation. My dad is very busy now and doesn't have much time, but I will come here occasionally. What's the name of this place? When Huamin arrived, it was already dark and he couldn't see any road signs. Yunding Mountain. That's a good name. She smiled. Yeah, this is the last and largest primitive forest in the north. Yunding Mountain is just a small mountain. 50 kilometers in, it's really an uninhabited mountain range. Uninhabited mountain range means it hasn't been developed? Chin Chu nodded. Yes, there are mountains, rivers, and wild animals there just like hundreds of years ago. It's very well protected. Actually, it's pretty good like this. Sometimes, overdevelopment isn't a good thing. Huamin sighed. Do you like it here? Yeah, I like it. I feel that the air here is much better. Huamin greedily breathed in the night air. It was a natural air with the fragrance of the earth. It was a luxury that the noisy big city would never have. Then, I'll bring you here often. Chin Chu's words were more obvious. Huamin was a little embarrassed. He lowered his head and didn't say anything. Chin Chu. Yeah. Lu Xiying seems to have liked you for a long time, right? Yeah. I'm not sure, Chin Chu said lightly as if he wasn't talking about himself. Huamin laughed. She likes you. It's so obvious. Don't you know? That's her business. It has nothing to do with me. I heard that she liked you since junior high. You were classmates for 3 years, right? Yeah, but we barely spoke more than 10 sentences. Huamin, oh my God, how did you do that? Huamin was shocked. Even if they were ordinary classmates, they wouldn't have not exchanged more than 10 sentences in 3 years. I don't care what she says. These words explain Chin Chu's arrogant character. Oh my God, the #1 tsundere in history. Huamin laughed. Are you mocking me? No, I'm praising you. Chin Chu obviously didn't believe him. He turned his head away to express his silent protest. Actually, I think Lu Xiying isn't a bad person. She's just a bit of a princess syndrome. I can understand why you don't like her, Huamin analyzed. What about you? Chin Chu turned around and looked at her seriously. What about me? Huamin played dumb. Huamin thought he would ask her about the boys from other classes chasing her. However, she forgot that Chin Chu wasn't a person who liked to gossip. Other than his own affairs, he didn't care about anyone else. Of course, now there was Huamin. What about you? Do you like me? Chin Chu asked naturally. He didn't feel embarrassed at all and asked so naturally. Huamin, on the other hand, felt like his brain was about to explode. How could this guy be so shameless? Huamin felt his body temperature rise rapidly. His face was as red as an apple. The air suddenly froze. Chapter 47:36. After a long time, Huamin raised his head and looked at the sky. Tonight's moon, don't interrupt. These 3 words blocked Huamin's mouth. Huamin, answer me. Are you here to extort a confession? Huamin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. No, I just want to hear you say something from your heart. Mian, if you like me, tell me. Let me know that the person I like also likes me. If you don't like me, tell me too. In the future, I won't make things difficult for you. Qin Chu spoke very seriously. He probably wanted to use this opportunity to ask her properly. After all, in school there were many people and opportunities were limited. And Huamin was the kind of person who could change the topic. So now, on Yunding Mountain, beside the colorful fountain at the entrance of the hotel, the 2 of them sat side by side. Using today's scene, Qin Chu wanted to make things clear. No matter what he said before, she was his girlfriend. The little girl seemed to be deliberately avoiding it and didn't admit it. She made it seem like it was one-sided. Because of this, he was even mocked by Gao Ran for not being able to get a straight A student. He knew very well that he wasn't chasing after Huamin for his face, nor was it because she was a straight A student. He wasn't interested in a straight A student. What he was interested in was Huamin herself. Therefore, Qin Chu, who had been wronged for so long, finally found a good opportunity. Qin Chu, this is too sudden. Not at all. But how old are we? We're all teenagers. What do we know? That's why I didn't say love. I said like. Qin Chu explained. There was silence again. This time the silence was longer. About 10 seconds, Qin Chu seemed to be a little desperate. This time he was risking it all. If he forced Huamin into a corner, she might shrink back and not dare to face the feelings between them. If that was the case, all the previous efforts would have been for naught. But it was worth it. Qin Chu wanted a word from Huamin, a word of recognition for himself. Finally, after a long silence, Huamin said slowly, Qin Chu, I like you. These words immediately pulled Qin Chu back from the brink of despair. He was wild with joy. Unable to control herself, she grabbed Huamin's hand and held it tightly, as if she would never let go for the rest of her life. Huamin was incomparably conflicted. She did give Qin Chu this answer after careful consideration. Qin Chu was right. They had to follow their hearts and speak their truest feelings. If you like him, you like him. Why would there be so many additional conditions? However, looking at Qin Chu holding his hand, Huamin was still conflicted. Qin Chu, but I think we're from 2 different worlds. Don't talk nonsense. Don't say things like we're not compatible. I've never believed in those old-fashioned things. Qin Chu thought she was going to talk about the difference between the 2 families. Therefore, before Huamin could finish, he hurriedly retorted. He had set his mind on her, and this was a fact that no one could change. To his surprise, Huamin shook his head. Family background isn't the most important thing. I just think that in your world I'm too far away. Too far away? What do you mean? For example? Qin Chu still didn't let go of his hand. For example, the education you received since you were young, your personality, your upbringing, your interests, your preferences. Huamin knew that this was the difference between people. It wasn't something that could be explained in a few words. Chapter 47:37. Although it was always said that family background was not the difference between 2 people who loved each other. However, Huamin remembered that there was a distant cousin who married a rich second-generation heir. That cousin was naturally very good-looking. She was originally a luxury item in the mall, but a rich second-generation heir took a fancy to her. He pursued her relentlessly. Children from poor families couldn't resist the temptation of money. You clearly didn't particularly like this person, but once you were bombarded with material things, no one could resist. Imagine a person who didn't even dare to go to a gold shop, but a man took her to sell diamonds and jewelry. Watches that cost tens of thousands of yuan, top-notch phones and branded bags. The feeling of spending money like water was irresistible, especially children from poor families. It was as if the door to a new world had opened. At that time, she remembered that her cousin's marriage had alarmed the entire family. Huamin's mother brought her Jixin and Uncle Jing back to their hometown to attend the wedding. There were 70 to 80 luxury cars picking up the bride. People from the nearby villages came to watch. It was like an ancient crown prince choosing a concubine. She heard that the wedding gift was also 1,000,000 yuan. Gold, jewelry and the like were all carried in boxes. At that time Huamin was only 10 years old and she was very envious. Looking at her cousin happily marrying over, she thought to herself, this should be happiness, right? She didn't expect that in less than 3 years after her cousin gave birth to 2 daughters, she was neglected by her in-laws. After less than a year of marriage, when her cousin was pregnant, that rich second-generation heir cheated on her. And there was more than one person who cheated on her. Later on, her cousin washed her face with tears every day. She heard that they finally divorced last year. She took her 2 daughters and left with nothing. That family only gave her a pitiful amount of living expenses every month. And the mistress who entered the house was said to be a somewhat famous female celebrity in the entertainment industry. That female celebrity was pregnant and had a wedding with the rich second-generation heir in Bali. Then she gave birth to a son and lived a life of glory. But who would have thought that her cousin also lived a life of glory at that wedding? From then on, Huamin felt that women should rely on themselves. Therefore she had to study hard and find a good way out for herself. It was useless to just marry well. Because as soon as a man had a change of heart, he would immediately beat you back to your original state. And you will spend the rest of your life in fear. Huamin's mind might have matured earlier than his peers. Therefore she had a lot of ideas. Qin Chu's family could only be said to be better than the family that her cousin had married into. After all, she often saw Qin Chu's father with the city leaders on the finance channel. That might not be a place she could stay. That was why Huamin said those words just now. On the other hand, Qin Chu was extremely calm after hearing her words. Did you just ask about my preferences? Qin Chu repeated. Huamin did not say anything. My preference is you. Qin Chu said these words clearly. At that time, high school students were not so scheming. They were more sincere. Although they didn't know what a lifetime was, they still wanted to be with the girl they liked forever. Qin Chu's words shocked Huamin. Once I've decided on you, I won't change. I only have one characteristic. No matter what, I'll be faithful to you. Mian, this isn't a joke. This isn't an irresponsible promise that I made when I was young. I'll be responsible for my own choice. What I need now is your response. Huamin stared into Qin Chu's eyes. She saw that they were filled with love. Chapter 47-38. Qin Chu, although I like you, I don't think I can give you anything. I really don't have anything. I can't even dig out my greatest IQ and give it to you. So, if you choose me, you really won't get anything out of it. This was where every girl who came from a poor family felt inferior. Liking someone wasn't asking for anything, it was giving. So, Huamin thought pessimistically that she really didn't have anything to give Qin Chu because he really didn't need anything. Qin Chu turned around, raised his hands and cupped Huamin's tender little face. Mian, all I want is you. That's all. So, you don't have to give me anything. Huamin blushed again. We're both too young, you better not have any evil thoughts. I will never agree. Huamian lowered her head. Indeed, she had misunderstood. Although she didn't know what was going on, she still warned Qin Chu. Qin Chu's face darkened. You're thinking too much. What I mean is, you have to give me a definite answer so that I can protect you and stay by your side for the next 3 years. I'm an impatient person and can't have a crush on you. I just want to be honest. If you agree, I'll take good care of you. I believe. I won't let you down. Huamin took a deep breath and bit her lip. Although she knew it wasn't good for her to fall in love at such a young age. However, she thought that at this moment, no one would be able to resist Qin Chu's temptation. No one would be able to, especially on a romantic mountain peak like this, with a colorful fountain in front of them. The atmosphere was great. It was the perfect time for a confession. She had to admit that Mr. Qin's thoughts had been so meticulous since he was young. He hit the nail on the head and hit Huamin's iron heart. Qin Chu, I'm willing to be with you for the next 3 years. If there's anything I don't do well, please advise me. Huamin tilted her head and looked at him with a sweet smile. That was the sweetness of a teenage girl. It was not pretentious or hypocritical. Huamin's smile melted Qin Chu's heart. He almost couldn't control himself and wanted to kiss her cheek, but he still tried his best to restrain himself, because he was afraid of scaring her. Qin Chu suppressed the excitement in his heart and took out his mobile phone to send a text message. Were you texting? Huamin was curious. Qin Chu smiled mysteriously and said nothing. But at this moment there was a bang. Huamin was startled. She raised her head and looked at the fireworks in the sky in astonishment. Then the fireworks show officially began. This was prepared by Qin Chu's men in advance. They would set off the fireworks once they received the order. Qin Chu was planning to give Huamin an unforgettable fireworks show regardless of whether she agreed or not. It was Huamin's first time seeing such a grand fireworks show, and it was just for her. Her shock turned to surprise, and then her girlish heart was hooked. She couldn't help but stand up and clap her hands. Sometimes she would excitedly tug on Qin Chu's sleeve. "Hey, hurry up, this is heart-shaped, it's so beautiful." Qin Chu didn't say anything. He just looked at her and smiled gently. The fireworks show lasted for half an hour. There were all kinds of fireworks, some together, some alone, and there were all kinds. "Oh my God, how much did this cost?" Huamin exclaimed. Sure enough, the rich life was full of different things. No wonder so many people couldn't resist the temptation of money. She liked it too, really? "Not much, about 100,000, Qin Chu said faintly. Chapter 4739. More than 100,000? Huamin was dumbfounded. That's enough for her to finish her master's degree. But in just half an hour, it disappeared in the blink of an eye. What a pity. If I knew it was so expensive, I wouldn't have let you use it. Huamin's heart ached. Even if it wasn't her own money, it still hurt. Qin Chu was extremely calm. Some beautiful things exist in the memory. This memory can't be bought with money. Huamin looked at him and sighed slightly. Okay, you're good looking. You call the shots. Qin Chu looked up dotingly and patted her head. Let's go back. It's a little windy. Huamin nodded and the two of them walked back. Their rooms were on the 19th floor. It was a suite with 2 bedrooms and 1 living room. However, each room had its own bathroom. So, it wasn't considered flirtatious. The main thing was that Qin Chu didn't feel comfortable getting 2 rooms with Huamin. He was afraid that the distance would make her scared. To be honest, Huamin was quite satisfied with this arrangement. After returning to their rooms, they each took a shower and went to their own beds. Before closing the door, Qin Chu even reminded Huamin to lock the door. Huamin even joked, "You still dare to come in?" Qin Chu rolled his eyes at her and left without saying anything. Huamin smirked smugly. Felt good to talk back to Qin Chu. She now understood why Zhu Lingling always talked back to Gao Ran. It seemed that it wasn't unreasonable. They locked the door and returned to the big, soft bed. Huamin wore a bathrobe and felt more relaxed than ever. If it wasn't for Qin Chu's invitation, she wouldn't have come here even if she was beaten to death. When she was at the front desk, she stole a glance at the price tag behind it. The cheapest room cost 799 yuan a night. As for their luxurious 2-bedroom apartment, it was said that it cost 19,800 yuan a night. She didn't dare to imagine that 2,000 yuan would be gone just from a simple night's sleep. What kind of concept was this? 10 years ago, 2,000 yuan was a lot. 80% of the people in Sea City had a monthly salary of 1,500 yuan. Huamin sighed slightly. After agreeing to Qin Chu, did she have to continue freeloading off him? Would others think that she was after Qin Chu's money? Then the question was she after Qin Chu's family's money or not? If Qin Chu's family's lives, would have been a days. The more she thought about it, the more confused she became. Moreover, for a teenager, this was the biggest worry of growing up and also the first hurdle of youth. Just as she was about to fall asleep, her phone suddenly rang. A text message. She rubbing her eyes, it was from Qin Chu. He asked, "Are you asleep?" Huamin replied, "I'm preparing." Qin Chu, "Do you want to eat and bully me?" His typing speed was unbelievably fast. Huamin's message had only been sent for a few seconds before his reply arrived. Huamin, no. If you eat and bully me now, you'll be as fat as a pig. Qin Chu, it's okay. I'll like you even if you're as fat as a pig. Huamin, I don't believe you. All men like to lie. What if I'm as fat as a pig and you run away? Who am I going to complain to? Qin Chu, do you want to drink something? There are many kinds of drinks in the small fridge under the table. You can choose. Huamin, okay. Qin Chu, then. Good night. See you tomorrow. Huamin, okay. Good night. That night, Huamin slept very well. After all, the bed at home was not as comfortable as this. It was said that the mattresses here were over 10,000 yuan. The pillows were also very comfortable. Huamin slept with one pillow and the other one in her arms. She was very carefree. Qin Chu, on the other hand, was in trouble. He couldn't sleep and didn't fall asleep until 3 in the morning. This was the first time he was so close to Huamin. He was a little excited when he thought about how they were only 10 meters apart. He tossed and turned but still couldn't fall asleep. He took out his phone and called Gao Ran. Chapter 4740. After a while, Gao Ran picked up. He sounded sleepy. Hello. What are you doing? I'm sleeping. Don't sleep. Get up. Get up. Gao Ran was about to hang up. I'm with Huamin. Qin Chu purposely showed off. His words immediately woke Gao Ran up. He looked at his watch. It was almost 10 p.m. What did he want to do with Huamin at this time? Fuck. Are you serious? Of course, Qin Chu continued to show off. Are you guys drinking outside? Why aren't you home? No, we're at a hotel. Fuck. Don't lie to me. No, it's true. You're such a beast. It's only been a few days and you've already brought her to a hotel, Qin Chu. But then again, isn't it exciting? Ah, teach me a lesson. Gao Ran smiled wretchedly. You're so dirty. We didn't do anything. Even a dog wouldn't believe it. Qin Chu, which hotel are you at? Do you want me to go find you later? Gao Ran purposely teased him. You can come too. Yunding Mountain Resort. If you take a taxi now, it's still dark. You're playing with me. Upon hearing that it was a hotel on Yunding Mountain, Gao Ran withered. It was too far and the highway was 3 hours away. There was no way he could go there. Ah. Qin Chu chuckled. He had achieved his goal of showing off. Gao Ran felt like his lungs were hurting from all the public displays of affection in front of him. You're so cruel. I can't believe you didn't bring me there. I don't want to be a light bulb. Good, you're ruthless. You're my good brother. You're my good brother? Gao Ran was furious. You should have gone on a field trip with us. Zhu Lingling went. There are 4 other guys in our class who like her. I think they'll make a move this time, Qin Chu said lightly. What does it have to do with me? That bitch, it would be strange if someone likes her. Gao Ran disagreed. Keep being stubborn. TSK, why would I be stubborn? That woman is my natural nemesis. I'll stay away from her in the future. Alright, I'll remember what you said. Next time we eat, don't ever let you meet her. Ahem? Bro, that's not right. You're like, your love is lit up and as soon as there's a flame on my side, you turn around and piss on it to extinguish it. You said it yourself. Don't hit my face. Aye. Before Gao Ran could say anything, Qin Chu hung up the phone. A beeping sound came from the other side of the phone. Gao Ran was so angry that he was awake and didn't feel sleepy anymore. This guy only cares about himself. He doesn't care about me. We agreed to be single dogs together. How could you fucking cheat on me? The next morning, Huamian woke up early in the morning before the sun rose. This was her habit. Since she was clear-headed in the morning, she took out an English book from her bag and read for a while. Then she heard some movement in Qin Chu's room. She quickly got out of bed and opened the door. Then she saw Qin Chu in his pajamas. His hair was messy and his eyes were blurry. This homely side of him was so cute that it exploded. This was the first time she saw Qin Chu in such a homely state. The contrast was huge and it was so cute. What are you looking at? Are you in love with me? Qin Chu was still sleepwalking, so he directly retorted. Looks like you haven't woken up yet? Huamin teased. Quick, come over and kiss me, then I'll wake up. Otherwise, I think I'll turn into a frog, Qin Chu said drowsily. Chapter 47-41. Huamin glared at him angrily with her hands on her hips. Qin Chu, do you still want your old face? If you want to kiss me, I can be shameless. But I want to. Huamin ignored him and turned around to continue washing up. She was very fast at washing up and was almost done at the same time as Qin Chu. Then they met in the living room. Let's go and have breakfast. Qin Chu naturally held her little hand and pulled her out. That's not good. We'll be seen. Who knows you here? They all know me and I'm not afraid of being seen. Huamin didn't say anything, but she thought it made sense. Do you think we'll be on the cover of a gossip magazine? You're thinking too much, Miss Hua. You're just a kid. You're not even fully grown yet. The people on the cover are all celebrities and models. Can't I think about it? Huamin pouted and followed Qin Chu. She lazily let him hold her hand and they went to the restaurant on the top floor. Because Huamin didn't like special treatment, Qin Chu didn't specifically say anything. The two of them went early so there weren't many people in the breakfast room. It was another sumptuous buffet. Huamin took a tray of dumplings. They were emperor shrimp dumplings. She had only eaten this once. It was when Zhu Lingling and her parents went to a Hong Kong-style restaurant to eat and brought it back. It was really delicious, but she heard that each dumpling cost 20 yuan. A tray of 4 dumplings cost 80 yuan. She really couldn't afford it. So, since they met here, Huamin decided to eat until she was full. Chu also took his favorite. The two of them lowered their heads and ate in silence. Chu, yeah? I also want emperor shrimp dumplings. Then let's eat. Then will you despise me? I'm just a kid from a poor family who hasn't seen the world. Once I see something good, I lose my life to eat it, Huamin asked straightforwardly. However, Chu was slightly startled. Why would you have such a strange idea? I like to eat until I'm full. Then I'm relieved. Just as Huamin was about to stand up, he realized that Chu had already left, heading in the direction of the emperor prawn dumplings. Not long after, Chu returned with 3 full trays in his hands. Heavens, what are you doing? It's fine. Eat until you have enough. Do you want one? Huamin felt warm in his heart. So far, she was quite satisfied with her boyfriend. If you feed me, I can eat one. Shameless? It's not like your hand is broken. Eat it yourself. Huamin chuckled as he lowered his head and picked up a royal prawn dumpling. Just as he was about to eat it, Chu snatched it away. Chu didn't say anything and just put it in his mouth. Aren't there a lot more? Why don't you pick it up yourself? Why do you have to snatch mine? Huamin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Because the one on your plate smells better, Chu said seriously. Huamin blushed again. He really couldn't believe that the person in front of him was Chu. Huamian noticed that Huasiqian rarely talked to any girl in class, except for herself. He heard that when he was in junior high he was also so cold that it scared people. Otherwise, why would he talk so little to Lu Xiying even though they were classmates for 3 years? Chu was definitely a weirdo, but that didn't matter. He was also a weirdo among weirdos. If the two weirdos got together, their child would also be the weirdest in history. Realizing that he was thinking too far ahead, Huamin quickly pulled himself back to reality. Mian. Yeah. Do you think Gao Ran is interested in Zhu Lingling? Chu asked slowly. Chapter 47-42. Yes, very much so, absolutely. Huamin smiled slightly. But they don't seem to want to admit it. They're both as stubborn as ducks. I'm afraid it'll be difficult for them to admit it, Huamin replied as she stirred the seafood porridge. Do you think they're a good match? Chu asked slowly. It's okay. As long as they like each other, they're a good match. Why are you so rational when it comes to other people? When I confessed yesterday, you gave me a bunch of excuses. You even said something about 2 different worlds. Faced with Chu's question, Huamin burst into laughter. Do you have to be so vengeful? I'm a very vengeful person, but I can be more lenient with my girlfriends. Then I'll thank you. Huamin continued to giggle foolishly. You're welcome. After the two leisurely finished their breakfast, Chu ordered the waiter to bring 2 sets of sportswear and a pair of sneakers. They were all Nike. Chu liked to play basketball and was a loyal fan of Nike. At that time, Nike spokesperson was Kobe Bryant, the star that Chu admired the most. One set was dark, and the other was light yellow. They both looked good. They were neither thin nor thick, just right for the temperature on the mountain. Although there were hotels built on Yunding Mountain, the mountain range was very big. At that time, there were no hot springs or pickling gardens, and the steps to the mountain weren't trimmed yet. Therefore it was a semi-developed mountain range. Huamin liked to climb mountains. At that time she was young and had an inexhaustible amount of energy. She and Jixin even went to the small hills in the city excitedly. Therefore, when she heard that Chu was going to take her to climb mountains, Huamin was very excited. However, she didn't expect Chu to prepare 2 sets of clothes and shoes. Although the shoes given by Chu weren't as expensive as Huasiqian's, they suited Huamin's personality. She didn't want any limited edition shoes. Shoes were meant to be worn on her feet, not used to show off. You bought them according to my size? Well, do you think it's suitable? Chu helped her remove her shoelaces. Huamin happily sat on the chair. Huamin's pale yellow sportswear made him look even fairer. The white sports shoes were just right. Even the Nike logo was white. If one did not look closely, one would not be able to see it clearly. Huamin liked it from the bottom of his heart. He even deliberately turned around in front of the mirror a few times. She was completely unaware that Chu had taken out his phone to take pictures. However, I heard that it's not good for a boyfriend to give his girlfriend shoes. She'll fly away and break up with him, Huamin said. Chu's face darkened. Are you a jinx? Ah, it's true. This legend has been around for a long time. Everyone in our neighborhood knows about it. Are you from ancient times? Chu looked at her with disdain. How about this? I definitely don't have money for the sportswear, but I'll give you the money for the shoes. Consider it as me buying them myself. She thought that Chu would refuse, but he happily agreed. That's fine. How much are the shoes? 89. Nonsense. How can they be 89? Speak properly. They're really 89. They should be high-quality replicas. You can wear replicas? Huamin was in disbelief. Why can't I wear replicas? They're 89. Okay. But 89 doesn't seem to be enough for me right now. When we get back, I'll give you some pocket money, Huamin said. Okay. Huamin was quite happy that Chu was willing to accept the money. Although he was her boyfriend, she was not a materialistic person. She did not want to rely on his title as her boyfriend to constantly ask for things from Chu. That would be really shameful. She definitely did not believe that Chu would say that the shoes were high-quality replicas. Therefore, she planned to go back to the city and find a Nike store to ask how much they were. Chapter 47-43. It's beautiful, let's go. After changing, Chu and Huamin carried a black backpack. The backpack was filled with water and lunches for the two of them, and they set off. Huamin felt embarrassed and offered to carry Chu's backpack for a while, but Chu didn't want to. The two of them set off in high spirits. Before they left, the hotel manager reminded them worriedly, "Young master, it'll be fine after walking for a while. Don't go too deep, there are a lot of undeveloped areas and the mountain path is very steep." Okay. Chu nodded. Will there be wild beasts? No, after we bought Yunding Mountain we surrounded it. Although there are a lot of undeveloped areas, wild beasts can't get in. Occasionally, some black snakes will appear in this mountain range and they're not poisonous. However, the chances of you running into them are low. Snakes like to hide under big rocks and in wet places. That's good. Huamin patted his chest. The hotel manager was worried that Chu's phone would run out of battery and they wouldn't be able to contact him, so he prepared a signal transmitter. As long as Chu sent a signal, they would be able to see his location and go to his rescue. After all, he was the son of the chairman. If something happened to him here, it would be troublesome. Chu didn't refuse and put them in his backpack. Then he held Huamin's hand and the two of them climbed up the mountain. It had to be said that teenagers sometimes had better stamina than adults. The two of them climbed for 40 minutes in one go without stopping for a rest. At the top of the mountain, GK built a viewing pavilion for the view. It was built in an ancient Chinese style, similar to the ones in Suzhou. It's beautiful here, let's look at it for a while, Huamin said to Chu as he pointed at the endless mountains in the distance. Okay. Chu took off his backpack, took out a bottle of water, and handed it to Huamin. Then he took out a piece of chocolate. Replenish your energy. You're so thoughtful, Huamin praised. Right? That's why, being my wife is a great deal. Huamin blushed and turned his head away, pretending not to hear. Huamin looked at the scenery in the distance and suddenly felt emotional. Chu. Huh? You say, now I finally understand why the ancient emperors fought to the death to seize this vast territory. Why? Because the feeling of having the world under my feet is really great. Chu, Huamin, are you serious? Of course, but I think you should sing me a song in this situation. That would make it even more beautiful. What song? Chu wanted to take the opportunity to show off in front of his girlfriend. Huamin cleared his throat. I'll borrow another 500 years from the heavens. Chu was speechless. Goodbye. After saying that, Chu pretended to walk down. Huamin quickly ran over and grabbed his hand. Don't go. If you leave me behind, I'll be eaten by wolves. Your naughty girlfriend should be eaten by wolves, Chu said quietly. No. Don't go. Chu couldn't help but laugh. Then beg me. Please, handsome, I beg you, my idol. Huamian had a time when she was so shameless. Chu smiled. Beg me for what? He thought Huamian would say something mushy like, please stay with me, or something like that. But he didn't expect this guy to say confidently, please sing for me. I'll borrow another 500 years from the heavens. Chu was speechless. Ha ha ha. Huamin laughed hysterically. Go ahead and have fun. Chu felt that many people thought that Huamin was reserved and deep, but they were all fooled by her appearance. He had seen how naughty she was with his own eyes. Chapter 47-44. However, even if it was a prank, Chu still didn't blame him. However, Chu didn't sing. Instead, he took out his phone and downloaded a song. Then, the two of them put on their headphones and looked at the scenery at the foot of the mountain while listening to the song. It could be considered as fulfilling Huamin's wish. Then the two of them continued to climb the mountain and walked down from the other side of the mountain range. There was only a relatively dirt road here, and it was steeper than the previous one. However, these children were extremely willful and wanted to challenge their limits. It had to be said that the temperature on the mountain was much lower than the temperature at the foot of the mountain. Therefore, the two of them were right to wear sportswear. At least they would keep warm. After walking for more than an hour, Huamin was exhausted. No, I'm so hungry. Chinchu, I want to eat. Huamin wanted to eat. Chinchu didn't say anything. He found a quiet spot and took out the tablecloth and food he brought from the hotel from his backpack. Huamin thought that it would be ham, bread, and other dry food. However, she was wrong. She probably didn't know how exquisite Chinchu was. Chinchu took out 2 orange lunchboxes. Huamin couldn't wait to pick up one of the lunchboxes. When she opened it, her jaw dropped. It was a very beautiful lunchbox. There were 2 tuna rice balls, a simple one, a fried chicken leg, and a few pieces of broccoli. The color combination was also very beautiful. Just looking at it made one's appetite soar. Then, Chinchu took out 2 bottles of mineral water and placed one beside Huamin. If you think that's the end, you're wrong. Then, Chinchu took out 2 more lunchboxes. They were filled with fruit, cut fruit. There were cantaloupe, pineapple, peach, banana slices, and a few red cherry tomatoes mixed in. Wow, so thoughtful. Huamin was pleasantly surprised. Not only was there such an exquisite lunchbox, there were even fruits. She glanced at Chinchu's backpack. No wonder he was carrying such a big backpack. It turned out that there were so many things inside. This shouldn't be called a backpack. It should be called a treasure chest. Chinchu was speechless. Don't talk nonsense. Hurry up and eat. Huamin picked up his lunchbox and started to eat. From time to time, she would naughtily snatch Chinchu's food. Chinchu didn't say anything and let her do as she pleased. Today's mood is really great. If only I had a can of beer. How old are you? Why are you drinking beer? Chinchu lectured him in the tone of an elder. So what if I'm young? Uncle Jing used to buy me fruit wine during the spring festival. It was delicious and exciting. Your elders really spoil you? Chinchu glanced at her. Of course. My mom and Uncle Jing are actually very nice. What about the Hua family? Chinchu didn't know why he suddenly asked. Huamin was slightly surprised. If you don't feel good, it's okay if you don't want to tell me. After asking, Chinchu regretted it. He really didn't mean to. Don't be so pretentious. It was a big deal back then and it's no secret. The old man of the Hua family didn't treat me well. I don't have any feelings for the Hua family. It's like I don't know them at all, except for Hua Xiqian, who seems to be a little bit nice to me. Upon hearing Hua Xiqian's name, Chinchu's expression became complicated. From now on, stay away from Hua Xiqian. What's wrong? You know him too? Huamin asked. It seemed like there was a story behind it. Chapter 47-45. I don't really know him, but I've heard a little about him. Wow, you have Hua Xiqian gossip? Hurry up and tell me so I can threaten him in the future so that he won't always come to me to feel superior. Huamin seemed to be very interested in gossip, but unfortunately, Chinchu refused to tell him. I'm not someone who likes to talk about people behind their backs. Anyway, you should avoid interacting with him in the future. Chinchu picked up the mineral water and drank elegantly. Seeing that Chinchu didn't want to talk, Huamin didn't ask. In fact, they lived in the same city. As a rich second-generation heir, Chinchu definitely knew about Hua Xiqian's background. Hua Xiqian was very promiscuous in university. He often brought all kinds of girls to hotels and had a good time. He heard that a freshman girl was pregnant a while ago. That girl naively thought that she could marry into the Hua family because of her son. Hua Xiqian initially planned to give her money to keep her mouth shut and get her to abort the child herself. However, the girl was stubborn and refused no matter what. She insisted on marrying Hua Xiqian. Then, he heard that they were in a car accident last month and both mother and child died. Of course, this might not have been done by Hua Xiqian but by the Hua family. After all, Hua Xiqian's adoptive mother wasn't someone to be trifled with. However, no matter what, he didn't want Huamin to be entangled with Huamin. Every member of the Hua family was ambitious, and their methods were so despicable that it made people's hair stand on end. A few days ago, the Hua family even came forward to cooperate with GK. Chinchu's father wanted to consider it, but his son suddenly said that he didn't want to cooperate with the Hua family. In the end, the old man rejected it for the sake of his precious son. Of course, Chinchu's father didn't know that his son had a problem with the Hua family. It was all because his girlfriend had been wronged by the Huamin. Chinchu wouldn't tell Huamin about this. You would only do it silently. Did you just say you want to drink beer? Chin Chu suddenly asked her. That's right. It would be great if there was wine at this time. Huamin was also exhausted and wanted to drink something to relieve his tiredness. That kind of metal packaging really didn't have a very high alcohol content. She wouldn't have a problem drinking one. Initially he thought that it would only be for show. Unexpectedly, Chin Chu quietly took out a can of old 5-star beer from his backpack. Holy shit. That works too. Chin Chu did not say anything. He helped Huamin open the tap. How about I call you Doraemon in the future and you call me Big Bear? Huamin held the beer and was extremely excited. Don't talk nonsense. Drink less. If you drink too much, it will get to your head. It's okay. If I drink too much, you can carry me down. I won't. I'll only leave you in the mountains to feed the wolves. Chin Chu lowered his head and said quietly. You're stubborn. Huamin silently watched Chin Chu pretend to be cool. She was starting to understand his routine. Chin Chu seemed to be very soft-hearted towards her. If she said that she wanted to go up to the sky, he would buy her a ladder. Huamin took the beer and took a big gulp. He even used his sleeve to rudely wipe his mouth. You didn't buy the clothes yourself. Don't you care about them? Chin Chu said unhappily. Huamin smiled and asked him with the beer, Hey, do you want a sip? No. Chin Chu decisively refused. Have a sip. It's delicious. Huamin continued to coax him. Chin Chu glanced at the beer that Huamin drank from. It looked like there were still lipstick marks on it, even though she never wore any lipstick. Chin Chu did not say anything. He took the beer and took a sip. This was considered a compromise, right? Suddenly, Huamin screamed and held her stomach. Her expression was pained. Chin Chu was so scared that he immediately put down the beer and went up to help her. What's wrong? Chapter 47-46. At this moment, Chin Chu was so scared that his face changed color. He thought that Huamin was having an emergency. Chin Chu. I think I'm on my period. Huamin said awkwardly. Chin Chu's body trembled. He had never encountered a situation like this, even though he knew that girls had their periods every month. However, as a man, Chin Chu never thought that he would encounter such an awkward situation so soon. Then what do I need to do? You? I don't think you can help much. I need to go down the mountain to buy something. Huamin was too embarrassed to say the words tampons out loud. Chin Chu was also confused when he heard this. You can't even remember the date? She knows her period is coming, but she's still drinking beer. Chin Chu suddenly regretted his soft-heartedness. He shouldn't have gotten her a beer. He heard that girls shouldn't touch cold things during their periods. When he was young, he saw his mother drinking brown sugar ginger tea and bird's nest soup every month. Chin Chu felt guilty and blamed himself when he thought about how he had just given the girl a beer. Huamin laughed. It was supposed to be tomorrow, but it probably smelled the alcohol today and came early. You're still in the mood to joke around? Chin Chu glared at her. He stood up, took off his jacket and carefully tied it around Huamin's waist. It covered her thighs, keeping her warm and not letting her catch a cold. Also, it covered the blood that Huamin accidentally got on her pants. Huamin's heart was warmed by Chin Chu's care. Chin Chu, thank you. You're welcome. After all, we're on the same side. Chin Chu said naturally. Then, before Huamin could say anything else, he picked her up and carried her on his back. Huamin was so scared that she almost screamed, I can walk by myself. I can? Chin Chu didn't say anything. He carried his backpack with one hand and carried Huamin with the other. He was afraid that she would fall. The mountain path is too steep. You're in danger. Chin Chu still didn't react. Chin Chu, if you carry me like this, your stamina will be depleted. You won't be able to hold on. Chin Chu still did not say anything. Chin Chu, be quiet. We'll talk when we get down the mountain. The good thing was that Chin Chu had excellent stamina. As the only heir of GK, Chin Chu had been practicing all kinds of self-defense since he was young and worked out every day. Therefore, when they were 17 or 18 years old, their physical fitness was better than some adults. Although carrying Huamin down the mountain was a big task, he was obsessed with it. Therefore, in the end, Chin Chu carried Huamin down the mountain. Because he sent a signal in advance, there was already a car waiting for them at the foot of the mountain. Young master, why didn't you let us go up the mountain to pick you up? Seeing his young master carry a lump of meat down the mountain, the hotel manager's heart ached. He was afraid that if anything happened to Chin Chu, the president would blame him. You guys are wasting too much time, Chin Chu said faintly. The hotel staff immediately handed a towel to Chin Chu to wipe his sweat. Huamin didn't say anything, but she was very upset. She even wanted to cry. They were going to go to the hospital, but Huamin insisted. It was just menstrual cramps, it wasn't a big deal. In the end, Chu agreed to let her go back to the hotel to rest. After the two returned to the hotel, Huamin quickly took a hot shower and changed into a clean bathrobe. When she came out of the living room, she saw brown sugar, bird's nest, and motherwort on the table. Huamin looked at the 3 tonics and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. How can I finish all this? I'll be satisfied with some ginger tea. Drink it all, Chu ordered. Chapter 47-47. No, Huamin refused immediately. Why? Motherwort tastes awful. How about I drink the bird's nest and you drink the motherwort for me? Huamin purposely put him in a difficult position. Okay. Chu said as he picked up the motherwort and was about to drink it. Huamin was so scared that he quickly snatched it away. You're a man, don't you have menstrual cramps? Why are you drinking this? You're really drunk. Can you finish it? Chu looked up with pity in his eyes. Yes. Huamin gritted his teeth and only said one word. Then, under Chu's gaze, he finished all 3 big bowls. Chu, will I die from the poison? Huamin half-joked as he drank the 3 bowls in a mess. I'll burn ingots for you on Qingming. Fuck. Chu, you idiot. This was the first time Huamin heard him make such a cold joke. For a moment he couldn't control himself and rushed over to hit him. He thought that he would dodge, but this guy didn't move like a block of wood. Therefore, when the fist landed, Huamin's heart softened and he lessened his strength. His originally powerful punch had turned into cotton. How was this hitting? This was flirting. With this tearing, the collar of Huamin's bathrobe opened. Huamin was only 15 years old and had a body full of ribs. But still, it made Chu's throat heat up. They were still in an ignorant era. They didn't know what kind of realm the fusion of the body was. Chu quickly turned his head away, not daring to look. Huamin also stood up awkwardly and quickly tightened his clothes. At this time, Chu brought over a very big box. It was golden and very beautiful. This is the dress I prepared for you. It's not like I don't have any clothes to wear. I can wear the one I wore when I came here. I've already washed it. Huamin was too embarrassed to ask for another gift from Chu. Ever since she came here, she had been eating a big meal, looking at the fountain and getting her sportswear and shoes. She felt that she had taken advantage of a lot. Just wear it. If the other one gets dirty, you can still change into it. Huamin silently took it and opened it. Fortunately, Chu knew her better. The gift was not a dazzling golden gown, nor was it an eye-catching dress. Inside, there was only a simple dress with a white top and a black bottom. It was a 2-piece set and was worn separately. It was very similar to the fairy-like clothing from Yunnan. There were a few embroidered flowers on the hem of the skirt. It was not ostentatious, but it was very attractive. It's really beautiful. You chose it. I don't know about these things. I just picked them out from the hotel's clothing store. Just make do with them. Chu didn't want to be seen through by Huamin, so he didn't seem to care. This way Huamin would feel even less burdened. Alright, this is for you. Chu picked up a big black bag from the ground. Huamin looked at the black bag and seemed to have guessed what was inside. She opened it and took a look. There were all kinds of brands of sanitary pads. There were long and short ones, big and small ones, thin and thick ones. It actually had everything. She thought to herself, as expected of a rich person. You really bought piles of things. What a pity. I thought I could go swimming with you after we leave the mountain. Now I can't do anything. If you want to swim, then go. I can ask them to warm it up, Chu said. Aren't you afraid that I'll dye half the sky red? Huamin giggled. She was deliberately teasing Chu. As long as you're not afraid of attracting crocodiles, I'm okay with it. Huamin. Chapter 47-48. Bastard. You actually want to feed me to the crocodiles. Although Huamin was displeased, she knew that Chu cared about her. After drinking all kinds of tonics, they put on warm clothes. Chu brought Huamin downstairs and walked around the hotel. This hotel was extremely luxurious in that era. Huamin suddenly felt that being rich was really good. At least she could live the life she wanted and not sigh helplessly. She also knew that if she was willing to return to the Hua family, she would probably live a luxurious life. But the problem was, what was the use of living a luxurious life in front of those annoying people? In front of the Hua family, even eating crabs would feel like eating dirt, right? If she was at home, even if she ate wild vegetables with her mother and Jixin, she would still feel endlessly happy. So, life was that simple. As long as you were happy, you didn't have to care about what others thought. Finally, the two of them strolled to the tea room. There were no guests. A beautiful tea artist in a cheongsam was tidying up the tea set. When she saw Chin-chu, she was first stunned. Then she quickly stood up and greeted, "Young master. Sit down." Chin-chu, on the other hand, was calm. He turned around and asked Huamin, "Do you like tea?" Sure. I don't know how to taste it. I only know how to drink." Huamin giggled. "Come here." Huamin's voice was very soft. He really didn't want to be too loud for Huamin. The tea artist looked at the young man and woman enviously. She smiled and didn't say anything. "Please make us a pot of tea." "Okay, what do you like to drink, young master?" Chin-chu looked at Huamin. Huamin had never drunk any good tea. She heard that it cost a few thousand yuan per caddy. However, since Chin-chu asked her, she couldn't say that she didn't know. So Huamin cleared his throat and said, "Westlake? Longjing. I also like to drink green tea. Give us a pot of Longjing tea." Chin-chu said. "Yes, young master. Please wait a moment." After that, the pretty big sister started to get busy. The two of them quietly looked at the tea master's craft. It turned out that there was so much cultural heritage behind the way of tea. It seemed that picking up a teacup and drinking it in one gulp was not called drinking tea. It was more like drinking water. It was said that they had been given a pot of top-grade Longjing tea that was worth 10,000 yuan. Huamin only felt that it was delicious. It tasted sweet and refreshing, and the cup was small, so he drank a few cups in one go. Especially since the tea was warm, it was just right for her physical condition today. Listening to classical music, the two of them were so carefree. Huamin hoped that he would remember this moment forever. Chin-chu seemed to only relax his brows when he was alone with her, revealing a rare gentleness. She was glad that he liked her even though he was so nice. After drinking the pot of tea, the two of them clearly felt full. When Chin-chu said that he was going to swim, Huamin was extremely excited. However, when he arrived, he found out that Chin-chu was going to swim alone. He only left Huamin in the resting area to sit and watch how he swam. There were actually quite a few swimming pools, but Chin-chu was using the VIP pool, which was a place where only VIP members would come. So, there were only 5 or 6 people swimming in the entire pool. Chin-chu was afraid that Huamin would be cold, so he asked for 2 thick bath towels. He put one on Huamin and put the other on the side. Then he watched as Chin-chu took off the white bathrobe he was wearing outside, revealing his proud Apollo's belt. Huamin blushed instantly. Then he looked a little embarrassed, but he couldn't help but want a peek. That feeling was extremely complicated. After all, this was the first time he saw Chin-chu naked. Chapter 47-49. Chin-chu did not notice Huamin's shy gaze behind him. He jumped into the water and started swimming. His movements and posture were extremely standard. It was obvious that he had received professional guidance. Huamin rested her chin on her hand and looked at the water. She thought dejectedly, if she really married Chin-chu in the future, would she be out of place? He knew how to swim, play basketball, climb mountains, play golf, taste red wine, understand the differences, and learn 4 languages. She only knew how to eat potato powder and sleep. She didn't even know how to play billiards, which was taught by Lingling. Most importantly, she didn't know how to cook. If they really lived together, it would be very strange, right? She suddenly thought of the popular movie Meteor Garden. The male lead in the movie fell in love with Cinderella. That was probably just a TV drama. Moreover, they had gone through many twists and turns. The male lead's mother was firmly against them being together. She even introduced the male lead to a rich young lady from a prestigious family. Life was not a TV drama. For a proud son of heaven like Chin-chu, his future path was very obvious. He would go abroad, study abroad, and then come back to take over the family business. Finally, he would marry a lady of equal status and have children. As for their inexperienced love, it couldn't even be called love. It could only be called the ignorant love of adolescence. In the end, when he was successful and had everything in his hands, he would be the one who had the most power. If the media interviewed him, he would probably say casually, "I was still young then. My first love didn't understand love at all." Perhaps it was because the hole in her brain was too big, but when Huamin thought of these, her heart actually ached. These were the future she had envisioned for Chin-chu, but it was also the path that Chin-chu would take. Thinking of this, she felt a little sad. She lowered her head and went into a daze. So she didn't even notice Chin-chu coming ashore. All of a sudden, Chin-chu sat down beside her and deliberately made big movements, splashing water all over her. Huamin came back to her senses. "Do you want to fight?" Chin-chu raised the corner of his mouth. "What are you thinking about?" Nothing. Liar. There's clearly a story in your eyes. No, you're mistaken. There's only an accident in my eyes, Huamin said jokingly. Seeing that Huamin wasn't telling the truth, Chinchu didn't ask. Let's go watch a movie. There's a cinema here? Huamin was surprised. Of course there's also a gym. Rich indeed, Huamin exclaimed. Chinchu didn't say what movie it was, so Huamin followed him in a daze. Later she swore that this was the most regretful thing she had ever done. She thought that Chinchu was a different kind of boyfriend, but who knew that he was also such a scammer? When they entered the cinema they found that there were quite a lot of people. Therefore she thought that it was some European and American blockbuster. But as soon as the opening music started, she knew she was in trouble. This was a fucking horror movie. The opening was very scary and it was a Thai horror film. It was said that Western horror films were very violent and bloody, while Japanese and Korean horror films were very scary. In Thailand you would definitely be scared to the point of screaming and having a mental breakdown. Huamin still remembered that the movie they watched was called Possessed by a Ghost. The atmosphere of the Thai horror film and the actors' looks were unforgettable. After the opening scene, Huamin was scared after seeing the first scene. Chinchu, don't you know that girls can't be scared when they're on their period? That's why you have to lie in my arms the entire time. Chinchu said shamelessly. But I can still hear the music. It's so scary. I can cover your ears for free. So, you're digging a hole for me to jump into, right? If you don't like it we can go out now, but it's so dark in here. If we go out, what if we see something dirty? Before Chinchu could say anything, Huamin was scared. Shut up, you bastard. Help me cover my ears. Then Huamin fell into Chinchu's arms in almost 3 seconds. Chinchu smiled gently and reached out his warm hand to cover her ears. Chapter 4750. Huamin was so nervous that she didn't even care what Chinchu smelled like. Instead, she jumped into Chinchu's arms like an ostrich. Chinchu looked at Huamian, who was on the verge of breaking down, and smiled gently. His plan worked. In fact, he just wanted to hug his girl. After all, once they returned to school, he had to keep a distance from Huamin. He wanted to be close to Huamin and wasn't afraid of rumors, but Huamin couldn't. He didn't want the girl he liked to get hurt. He thought he could hug Huamin quietly for a while, but Zhu Lingling called at this time. I think my phone is ringing. After speaking, Huamin didn't care about being scared anymore. He quickly got up and took out his phone. Then he covered his ears and slowly walked out. After all, the sound was too loud. Chinchu gritted his teeth and followed Huamin. All his efforts were wasted. He had to tell Gao Ran to insult Zhu Lingling a few more times. Mian, what are you doing? Huamin felt a little guilty. He turned around and looked at Chinchu. At home. What are you doing at home? Zhu Lingling didn't feel anything. Reading novels or something. Ha, you're reading those romance novels again. They're so melodramatic. You're such a smart person, how did you get hooked on them? But the novels written by Pig Baby are really good. I'm reading her latest book. I really like the characters in it. Alright, you should be camping right now, right? You didn't go out with them. Why did you call me? Huamin changed the topic. It's because that bitch Lu Xing cancelled a lot of activities when she saw that Chinchu didn't come. The whole roasted lamb that was promised was also gone. I heard that there was going to be a bonfire party. Now everyone is playing on their own. Everyone is given a hamburger and a bottle of Coke. It's so disgusting. This woman doesn't want to take everyone to play. She clearly wants to chase Chinchu but failed. If I were Chinchu I wouldn't want her. She looks like a carp spirit. No one in second middle school could compare to Zhu Lingling in terms of sharp-tongued words. She was truly a fierce general. Huamin didn't laugh with her. Although she also hated Lu Xing, people were like this. For example, although you are very good, there are people who don't like you and don't like you. After all, the human heart was the most complicated thing. No one could make everyone like it. Therefore, Huamin just smiled and said, "All right, my dear lady. Have fun. Be careful. It's windy at night. Cover yourself with more blankets." After chatting with Zhu Lingling for a while, she hung up the phone. Only then did she remember that she had run out of a horror film. When she turned around, she saw Chinchu staring at her. Huamin laughed and said, "Wicked or not? Take me to watch a horror film?" "I thought you liked it," Chinchu boasted shamelessly. "Like your head. You scared me to death. If you take me to watch a horror film in the future, I'll climb on your window at night. You're welcome to climb, but my house is very high. You have to be careful. Do you need me to get you a wire?" Chinchu laughed. Are you trying to anger me to death? How is that possible? If I anger you to death, who would want to be my girlfriend? Chin-Chu said very naturally, but Huamin blushed again. Don't talk nonsense. Do you know that puppy love is a sin? What sin? Chin-Chu asked. It's a sin for young boys and girls to think too much and not study hard, Huamin said righteously. Chin-Chu laughed and said, You're the one who decided the sin? Just then a male waiter rushed over in a panic. Young master, the chairman is here. Chin-Chu's expression changed slightly. Chapter 47:51. When they heard that Chin-Chu's father was here, Chin-Chu's expression changed slightly. Huamin also lost her composure. They were still high school students, how could they know how awkward it would be to meet parents? Before Chin-Chu could say anything, Huamin panicked. Chin-Chu, I'll hide first. Chin-Chu glanced at her. It's okay, you didn't do anything wrong. Why hide? Go sit in the cafe, I'll ask someone to prepare dessert for you. You rest first, I'll go meet my father. Then Chin-Chu asked someone to send Huamin to the cafe before he went to the meeting room. When Chin-Chu's father arrived, he went straight to the meeting room and talked to a few of the hotel's executives about the hotel's renovation. When Chin-Chu arrived, he was still in the middle of the meeting. Chin-Chu knocked on the door. Dad. Chin-Chu's father looked at his son calmly. Come in, you can listen in. After Chin-Chu entered, he also participated in the meeting and listened attentively. An hour later, the father and son walked out of the meeting room. Does your mother know that you're here on Yunding Mountain? Chin-Chu's father asked his son. Chin-Chu shook his head. I heard that you brought a classmate here? Chin-Chu's father continued to ask. Chin-Chu was silent for a few seconds before he decided to tell the truth. Dad, that girl is my girlfriend. Chin-Chu's father was not surprised when he heard this. It was normal for teenagers to have feelings for each other overseas. After all, everyone was young once. Then she must be very outstanding. Chin-Chu's father did not expect this to be the first sentence he said. Come to think of it, he knew very well what his son was like. The girl he liked must have something outstanding about her. Yes, she's very outstanding. Chin-Chu nodded. He agreed. I thought that you would like a girl like Yishur. Song Yishur was indeed good-looking and their families were quite close. However, Chin-Chu did not seem to have any feelings for her and did not contact her. Song Yishur is outstanding in the eyes of adults, but she is outstanding in my eyes. It's normal for you to have such thoughts at your age, but don't go overboard. You're still a student, don't affect her negatively. Dad, why would I? Chin-Chu raised his head and looked at his father. I won't tell your mother about this. You know her temper, she'll be anxious. Chin-Chu nodded and then thought of something. He asked his father, Dad, do you want to meet her? This time, Chin-Chu's father was shocked. Chu, do you think this is appropriate? Chin-Chu's father looked at his son, had a complicated expression. Everyone knew that relationships in school rarely blossomed, so Chin-Chu's father thought that his son was just experiencing the first awakening of love and would go abroad or go to college in a few years. Maybe he would find someone else. Boys were fickle in love. Instead, as he grew older and the environment changed, he would be attracted by the new things around him. Many things would be replaced, including his standards of liking girls. However, Chin-Chu wanted him to meet that girl. What did this mean? This meant that the girl was very important to Chin-Chu. She was definitely not his first love. Chu, do you have any plans? Chin-Chu's father asked as he looked at his son's calm eyes. After 5 seconds of silence, Chin-Chu said faintly, Dad, she's the one I want for life. I'll marry her in the future. After I graduate from high school, I'll bring her to America to study. We'll get married when we come back. If it was someone else, Chin-Chu's father would think that his son was too naive. However, he was shocked because he knew his son too well. He knew that his son was serious. He also knew how stubborn he was when it came to the things he liked. Chapter 47:52. Chu, are you serious? Mr. Chin asked again. I am. Chin-Chu didn't even need to think before he told his father in a firm tone. Then I'd really like to meet this girl. Mr. Chin was very curious at this moment. What kind of girl could make such an outstanding son fall head over heels in love with her? He was even thinking about the future now. After all, Mr. Chin had met the girl in middle school, the one from the Liu family, twice. She was quite pretty. However, Chin-Chu didn't even like to talk. Song Yishur was a very outstanding girl with a first-class family background. However, every time they met when they were young, Chin-Chu seemed to want to stay as far away from her as possible. Now that he suddenly told him that he was going to study abroad with the girl he liked and get married, Mr. Qin was very shocked. Qin Chu was wondering if he should let his father meet Huamian. With Huamian's personality, perhaps his father would like her. As long as his father agreed, it would be much easier to deal with his mother. Just then Mr. Qin's phone suddenly rang. After picking up the phone, Mr. Qin smiled. I wanted to meet you, but there's something urgent to deal with at the company. I'm going back to Sea City now. Do you want to come back with me? No. Qin Chu refused without hesitation. He didn't want to take his father's ride back. He wanted to go back alone with Huamian. Besides, he planned to leave tomorrow. He didn't want to waste a day alone with Huamian. Hearing his son's words, Mr. Qin smiled and turned around. Qin Chu's father's attitude wasn't very clear, but he knew in his heart. He believed that he had the ability to convince his parents. No matter how long it took, no matter how difficult it was, they would definitely accept Huamian. Because she was the one for him in this life. In the cafe, Huamin only ordered a cup of mocha. Then he watched a beautiful woman play an elegant piano piece and spaced out for a while. When Qin Chu came in, she didn't even notice. It wasn't until Qin Chu flicked her head that she reacted. What are you thinking about? You're back? Huamin turned around and looked at Qin Chu with a hint of nervousness. Yes. You saw your father? Yes. Did he blame you? Huamin asked nervously. Qin Chu laughed. Why would he blame me? Huamin felt a little guilty. He lowered his head and sipped his coffee as he muttered, After all, you brought an uninvited guest here. Plus, I've been living here for the past few days, eating, hiking and buying clothes. Your father must have thought that I'm a femme fatale. You're thinking too much. My dad doesn't care about this money at all. You probably don't know that this amount of money is nothing to him. Of course, I'm not trying to show off how rich my family is. I just want to say that people in my dad's position don't care about this amount of money at all. My family's company accounts for tens of millions of yuan every year. What does this amount to? What's more, it's your own son who spent it. Perhaps because he was afraid that Huamin would feel uncomfortable, Qin Chu explained so much at once. Well, I'm so surprised. Surprised? Qin Chu didn't understand her. He thought that she was surprised by his family's financial situation. However, Huamin continued to laugh. We've known each other for so long, but this is the first time you've said so much to me. Did you say 500 words just now? Qin Chu. Chapter 47:53. It had to be said that Huamin's brain was very big. Sometimes, if you were distracted for a moment, you wouldn't be able to keep up with her frequency. She was a person who liked to jump around and was very logical. Of course, Huamin understood what Qin Chu meant. To sum it up, she was rich and willful. Huamin felt that the expenses over the next few days would be tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands. However, for Qin Chu's family, it was like an ordinary person spending $1. It didn't affect them at all. Is the coffee good? Qin Chu lowered his head and looked at Huamin's coffee cup. Yeah, it's not bad. As soon as she finished speaking, Qin Chu picked up her coffee domineeringly and took a small sip. Then he shamelessly commented, It's not bad. I'm drunk. Do you like to steal other people's things that much? Last time he stole her drink. This time he stole her coffee. This guy seemed to like to steal. After hearing Huamin's words, Qin Chu didn't even frown and smiled. I only steal from you. Ahem. It's so stuffy in the coffee shop. Why don't we go out for a walk? Qin Chu looked at the sky. It seems to be getting colder outside. You're on your period. Don't go out. Oh, you're right. Although she was on her period, Qin Chu still felt a little embarrassed when he said that. Huamin lowered her head. Her cheeks were red as she continued to pretend to drink her coffee. I have to help my dad with some business later. I might have to attend a video conference. Qin Chu looked at his watch. Because his father was on the way home, it wasn't very convenient for him to attend the conference. Therefore, before he left, he told Qin Chu that he would have a conference in half an hour. Of course, what Qin Chu's father handed over to Qin Chu were some company expansion projects, not the main business. After all, his son was still young. He had to take things one step at a time. Okay, then I'll wait for you here. Or I'll go back to my room and sleep, Huamin said. Go work on SAP, Qin Chu said. Huh. Huamin suspected that he had misheard. I've arranged everything for you. A staff member will come to pick you up in a bit. The 6th floor of the hotel is a paradise for female guests. There are excellent beauticians and masseuses here. Go and enjoy yourself. This isn't a good idea. I'm still on my period. I've already told them. They'll help you with some projects to keep you warm. Is that even possible? For someone of Huamin's status, he had never come across such a grand project before. At most, he would go to a large-scale bath with his mother, but he had never done anything like SAP. The only people who knew about it were those who had seen advertisements for a health club on TV. Only then did they have a rough idea of what it was. However, she didn't expect that Chin-Chu had even arranged for this. Go, don't be afraid. I'll pick you up for dinner after the meeting. Chin-Chu stroked Huamin's head lovingly. They were like an old couple. In fact, at this time they were only in their teens. People said that although teenage love was immature, it was true and pure. Because at that time, they didn't have any complicated personal emotions. They only loved this simple person. Sure enough, after a while, the female manager of the beauty department came to pick up Huamin. Chin-Chu also went to the conference room. Huamin was still a little nervous. In fact, she was especially afraid of embarrassing herself. After all, she didn't want to embarrass Chin-Chu like a silly girl from the countryside. Therefore, she followed behind the manager without saying a word. Miss Hua, young master said that you're still on your period, right? Yes. Huamin nodded. Then I'll get someone to massage your back with ginger essential oil. Okay. Then, do you still want to take a hot bath before that? The woman asked gently. Huamin shook her head. Miss Hua, are you young master's girlfriend? For some reason, the female manager suddenly asked with a smile. Chapter 47:54. Huamin bit her lips but didn't know how to answer. If she said yes directly, she might be looked down upon and thought of as a bad child who was in a relationship at such a young age. But if she said no, it would be too hypocritical. Chin-Chu brought her to such a faraway place for a vacation. How could they just be friends? Perhaps seeing through Huamin's thoughts, the female manager continued, Our young master likes it here. He comes here a few times a year. Sometimes with the chairman and his wife, sometimes with his friends. Did he bring any other friends here? Huamian suddenly felt uncomfortable when she heard this. Could it be that there were other girls who came here before her? There's one. It's a boy. He's tall, thin and very handsome. Ha, that's Gao Ran, right? Huamin's heart suddenly lit up. Yes, it's young Master Gao. They both like to swim. Young Master Gao is very funny. He's very humorous. Unknowingly, Huamin chatted with this woman and was not as nervous as before. Huamin was brought into an 80-square-meter beauty salon by the female manager. She originally thought that all the guests were here to get their beauty treatments, but she later realized that it was only a private room. The degree of decoration was truly breathtaking. At that time, the color of nouveau riche gold wasn't popular yet. The decorations were all in the Mediterranean style, white and blue. Moreover, the decoration style was an imitation of Thai style and was very charming. As soon as she entered, she smelled the scent of rose essential oil. Huamin couldn't help but sneeze. Then she rubbed her nose embarrassedly. Miss Hua is young master's good friend. Do it well? Yes, manager. After Huamin was brought in, the female manager left, leaving only two beauties in work clothes behind. This was the first time in Huamin's life that she had done SAP. It was a full-body massage with essential oil and a basic facial hydration. For Huamin, who didn't even know how to use cosmetics, it was like discovering a new world. The young lady who did the facial also recommended some skincare brands and daily hydration methods for her. She probably thought that she was the daughter of a wealthy family. Any bottle of the things she recommended would cost more than 1,000 yuan. That was a few months' worth of living expenses for Huamin's family. For her, she thought that it might never be possible. Chin-Chu was indeed a man of his word. After Huamin finished 2 hours of SAP, he came out and saw Chin-Chu sitting on a chair at the door, waiting. The moment she saw him, she felt inexplicably at ease. How is it? How was the experience? Not bad. Huamin smiled. Let's go and eat. Chin-Chu got up and naturally held Huamin's hand. Then the two of them walked through the corridor and took the elevator to the restaurant. Chin-Chu's love for her had never been concealed. It had always been exposed to the public. Huamin began to feel uneasy. Although society was no longer as feudal as before, where families had to be of equal social status. But was she really good enough for Chin-Chu? Perhaps it was because he was too outstanding that she felt a little inferior. If she was the daughter of a wealthy family, she would definitely date Chin-Chu until they got married. But now, are you daydreaming again? When they were eating, Chin-Chu saw that Huamin was worried, so he asked her. No. I'm just wondering if everyone will turn into charcoal when I see them on Monday. Huamin changed the topic. Mian. Yeah. I told my dad about us. Qin Chu elegantly cut into his steak. Huamin almost spat out the soup in her mouth. Chapter 4755. Ahem. Are you crazy? How old are we? Why do I have to tell you? What I mean is, why do you have to tell your dad? Huamin was so anxious that she couldn't even speak coherently. My dad knows that I brought you here. Then why don't you just say that I'm your good friend? Huamian covered her face with her hands, feeling extremely ashamed. What was going on? How old was she? She wasn't even fully grown yet, and she was already in a relationship. Not only was she in a relationship, but her parents even knew about it? She felt like she was being hit in the head. Qin Chu saw her nervousness and didn't blame her. He only smiled gently. I have to set the stage for him, because I still need him to pay for us to study abroad. Abroad? Study abroad? Huamin never dared to think about these things. To her it was too far away. Her grades were excellent, and she had thought about going to Hong Kong or Singapore. But now that Uncle Jing was working, only her mother and Jixin were left at home. She was afraid that as soon as she left, the animals in the Hua family would pounce on her and bully her mother and brother to death. That was why she turned down so many offers from high schools and came to Second High, which was not far from her home. Qin Chu looked at Huamin's face and said slowly, after I graduate from high school, I'm going to the States. My parents planned this for me before they left, and it's also what I want to do. I want to go out and see the world. As for you, your grades are so good we can go to the same university. You don't have to worry about tuition and living expenses, my dad will pay for it. As for your parents, I'll talk to my dad later and see if he can take care of them. No. Before Qin Chu could finish, Huamin refused with a dark face. Qin Chu, don't do this. I know you like me, but please leave me some dignity. Huamin bit her lip as she said this. Qin Chu did everything for her good, but people had to live with dignity. They couldn't rely on other people's charity, especially when their family had hands and feet. Not to mention that with his mother's personality, she would not agree to the Qin family's help. Who knew how badly the Hua family would scold her in the future? I remember when I was very young, my mother always said that we can be poor, but we have to have dignity. Old people in their 70s or 80s could even set up stalls to sell some snacks. Our family has hands and feet, so why don't we support ourselves? So from then on, she lived with Uncle Jing in peace and forgot everything that had happened before. One had to know that her mother had been in the limelight before, but in the end, for her and her younger brother, she returned to her family and returned to being ordinary. Qin Chu also felt that Huamin might not be able to accept his suggestion. Therefore he rephrased it. Mian, if you don't want to, you can apply for a scholarship to study with me. The university I'm going to will send out invitations to all the outstanding people in the world every year. If your grades are good enough, they won't charge you anything. As for your living expenses, you can work part-time while studying. I'll help you find a job. Upon hearing this, Huamin's expression softened. 3 years later, we'll talk about it later. Huamin lowered her head and ate her steak. In fact, she didn't really want to talk about this with Qin Chu. She had nothing. Other than a good brain, she really didn't have the right to talk about studying with him. Then it's settled, Qin Chu said again, thinking that Huamin tacitly agreed to go with him in 3 years. At that time, neither of them would have thought that after graduating from high school, they would be separated for 7 years. Chapter 4756. After returning from Mount Yinding, it was obvious that the relationship between the two of them had improved. In the blink of an eye, it was winter vacation. Huamin couldn't stay at home for a month and a half. He went to tutor others. Zhu Lingling was also bored, so she went to a luxury store to be a temporary salesperson. With Qin Chu and Gao Ran's family background, they didn't need to work. Therefore the two boys played basketball most of the time. Whenever Huamin was free, he would bring Zhu Lingling to eat with them. The four of them had a good time. Qin Chu was a Scorpio, and his birthday had passed a long time ago. At that time they weren't so close, and Huamin didn't give him any birthday gifts. However, as their relationship improved, Qin Chu treated Huamin better and better. This made Huamin feel like he owed Qin Chu something. On the eve of Chinese New Year, Huamin used the 1,000 yuan he earned from his part-time job to go to the mall with Zhu Lingling. He wanted to buy Qin Chu a gift. However, the problem was, what did Qin Chu lack? He really didn't lack anything. He had everything he needed. What should I do, Lingling? It's so hard to give him a gift. Huamin sighed. Why don't we learn from TV dramas? You can make a cake or something for him. Personally, He'll be happier, right? Forget it, forget it. It's too childish. Qin Chu doesn't like sweets. Zhu Lingling's suggestion was immediately rejected by Huamin. The two of them walked aimlessly in the mall. Suddenly they saw a jade shop. For some reason Huamian walked in. She wanted to walk around, but Qin Chu didn't say anything. But at a glance he saw the seal carved out of jade. Of course it was just a sample, but it was very beautiful. Huamin couldn't take his eyes off it, so he went over. Little girl, do you want to take a look at the jade seal? It's very nice. This kind of retro style is very popular. The shop assistant greeted warmly. How much is this? It depends on the material used. The most common one is only about 2,000. What about this one? Huamin pointed at the light green badge. This one is a little more expensive. It costs 5,000 yuan. 5,000? So expensive. Huamin was stunned. He touched the 1,000 yuan in his pocket and left with Zhu Lingling. What? You want to give him a stamp? Zhu Lingling saw through Huamin's thoughts. What do you think? It's pretty good, but the price is also pretty good. Zhu Lingling smiled. Let me think about it. I have more than 2,000 yuan here. I can lend it to you. Zhu Lingling could tell that Huamin liked it. Forget it. I can't pay you back even if you lend it to me. Besides, even if you lend me 2,000 yuan, I still need 2,000 more. I can't raise that much money. Huamian didn't even dare to think about it. It was too far from her own money. However, she did like the stamp at first glance. She felt that the gentle jade matched Qin Chu's temperament. Although Qin Chu came from a prestigious family, he wasn't arrogant or rustic at all. Hearing Huamin's words, Zhu Lingling didn't say anything. The two of them found a random place to eat. During this time, Qin Chu called and asked them to have dinner together. Mian, what are you doing in the afternoon? Watching a movie? No, I have a tutoring job in the afternoon. I have to finish at 5 p.m. Why don't you go first? Qin Chu and Gao Ran said they're having steak together at 6 p.m. Okay. It'll be a waste if you don't eat, Zhu Lingling said on purpose. Are you and Gao Ran together? Huamin couldn't help but gossip. Chapter 4757. Zhu Lingling immediately shook her head like a rattledrum. Don't talk about him, I'm annoyed by him. Huamin rolled his eyes at her. If you're annoyed by him, why are you eating with him? Qin Chu is the one who's treating, what does it have to do with him? Who said that? Gao Ran is treating tonight, Huamin deliberately exposed her. Zhu Lingling choked for a moment and continued to say self-righteously, all the more reason for me to go since he's treating me. I'm going to eat until he goes bankrupt. Huamin smiled but didn't say anything. He knew that Zhu Lingling was stubborn. After parting ways with Zhu Lingling, Huamin looked at the address on his phone. For the sake of safety, she worked with educational institutions to tutor people. She signed up with an educational institution and had to give them a portion of her salary. However, it was very safe. All the jobs were randomly assigned. This way Huamin didn't have to worry too much. Seeing that it was in a bustling neighborhood, Huamin didn't think too much about it. After all, the people who invited her to tutor were all children of rich second-generation heirs. Most of them were elementary school students and occasionally there were a few middle school students. In fact, she could tutor high school students, but many people didn't trust her. They felt that she was a high school student herself, so how could she tutor high school students? However, there were pros and cons. Huamin was very popular in the tutoring class because he was the top scholar in the middle school examination. The tuition fee was also higher than others. Others were around 50, 60 yuan an hour, but Huamin was 80 yuan. However, many parents still looked for her for a simple reason. They all hoped that she could teach their children some learning experience. Huamin was a little thirsty, so she bought a bottle of mineral water when she passed by a stall. Then she walked to the address. To her surprise, the person who opened the door was Hua Xiqian. Huamin was stunned. Sister Mian, you're here? You? Huamin didn't know what to say. I've been too lazy to do some homework in university recently, so I need your help. Hua Xiqian, who was wearing a white bathrobe, pointed at the pile of books on the table. I'm here to tutor you, not to help you with your homework. Goodbye. After saying that, Huamin turned around to leave. She didn't want to help Hua Xiqian even if it was tutoring, let alone doing homework. Although he had never offended her, every time she saw him, she would have an ominous feeling. She couldn't explain why, but it was just a feeling. Huamin, on the other hand, was a person who believed in his own feelings. Little sister Mian, why don't you take such a good opportunity to make money? Actually, my homework is very simple. It's just a medical thesis. I heard that you're quite knowledgeable in this field. If you help me finish it, I'll give you 10,000 yuan as a reward. Huo Xichen's voice had a hint of laziness. It wasn't loud, but Huamin heard it clearly. Huamin originally didn't want to talk to this person. She didn't expect this house to belong to Huo Xichen. The education institution told her that there was a need for tutoring and asked her to come here. She didn't expect it to be Huo Xichen's house. It could also be said that it was Huo Xichen's private property. Huamin was very surprised. Her instincts told her that she had to leave as soon as possible because Qin Chu had told her more than once to stay away from this guy. However, when she heard the 10,000 yuan, Huamin hesitated. It wasn't because she cared about the 10,000 yuan, but because she really wanted to buy that jade seal for Qin Chu. Therefore, Huamin stopped, turned around and glanced at Huo Xichen. Thesis? 10,000 yuan? Yes. Huo Xichen smiled. How many words? Huamin asked. Chapter 4758. 6,000. Huo Xichen leaned against the door frame in his bathrobe. He seemed sure that Huamin would stay. Deal. Huamin turned around and walked in with his back to the study. Huamin was dressed a little clumsily today. In the winter in the north, everyone dared to wear down jackets. Huamian was wearing a white down jacket, with the exception of those beautiful and frosty girls. Underneath it was a red sweater followed by a pair of jeans and then a pair of white snowshoes. Actually, this was a student's standard, but in Huo Xichen's eyes, it was still old-fashioned. After Huamin came in, he didn't even take off his jacket. Instead, he asked Huo Xichen, "Where's the computer?" He pointed at the workbench in the corner of the living room. There was a black Samsung ultra-thin laptop lying on it. "I'm using the computer. I have to look up a lot of information online." Huamin looked at his watch. "I need 2 hours." "No problem. Please pay the deposit first." Huamin didn't give up. "Little sister Mian, don't you trust me?" Huo Xichen laughed, thinking that she was so cute. Especially when she asked for the deposit with a serious face. "Don't try to get close to me. Pay the deposit and I'll start working." Huamin looked at him calmly. Huo Xichen stretched, walked to the sofa and picked up a black Prada bag. He took out a wad of cash. "Here's 10,000 yuan, it's all for you." Huo Xichen threw it over. Huamin picked it up, looked at it and put the money on the table. Then he turned on the computer and started working. "Do you still wear the shoes I gave you?" Huo Xichen asked her. "No. Tisk tsk. Little sister Mian, you don't seem to appreciate it. But I don't understand why you hate everything I give you, but you happily accept everything Qin Chu gives you." Upon hearing Qin Chu's name, Huamin stopped what he was doing. "Did you ask me to write a thesis or to gossip about me?" I'm just asking casually. Don't be nervous. Please don't disturb me when I'm working. Otherwise it will affect my efficiency." Okay. Go on with your work." Seeing Huamin's attitude, Huo Xichen decided not to disturb him. She picked up a book from the bookshelf and sat on the sofa to read it. Huamin, on the other hand, was sitting in front of the computer and working seriously. Huo Xichen flipped his hands and suddenly felt very bored. Then he went into his bedroom and took out his drawing board and brush. He sat on the sofa and looked at Huamin's side profile. Just like that, he silently began to draw. Huamin never knew how beautiful his side profile was. Huo Xichen would never tell her about the 2 hours she spent at his house that day. As dazzling as the stars, he outlined Huamin's every move, stroke by stroke. Including those clear eyes. However, because it was only a side profile, it was still a bit regretful. 2 hours later, Huamin finished his thesis and Huo Xichen finished his drawing. In order not to be discovered by Huamin, he put down the drawing board. "I'm done. Can you check and see if it's okay?" Huamin stood up and rubbed his sore shoulders. "So fast, did you copy it from the internet?" Huo Xichen smiled. "If you don't trust me, why did you ask me to come?" "I was just joking, you're being serious again." "I don't think I know you well enough to joke around. Hurry up and check, I'm in a hurry." Huamin urged Huo Xichen. Chapter 4759. Huo Xichen slowly walked over and began to read her thesis. He didn't need to read it to know that her thesis would be interesting. He had read all of her essays for exams over the years. He even read all of her monthly exams after she came to second high. God knows how much he wanted to know her and get close to her, but he was afraid of scaring her. "Mian, are you really not going to consider coming back to the Huo family? Why are you bringing this up again?" Huamin looked angry. Last time she and her mother made their attitude clear and rejected Jiang Hong, didn't they? Mian, have you thought about it? If you want to be with Qin Chu, you have to come back to the Huo family. Otherwise, with your current status, you won't be able to enter Qin Chu's house. I swear, before you even enter, Qin Chu's mother will reject you. Look at your situation, your status, and your family background. Huo Xiqian, when did you become so curious about me? I'm just concerned about my sister. I'm not your sister, and I don't need your concern. If there's nothing wrong with the examination, then I'll leave. After speaking, Huamin picked up the stack of money on the table and was about to leave. Are you really not going to think about it? You don't have to be afraid. If you come back, I'll protect you. I won't let Huo Yanyan and Huo Si, those two good-for-nothings, bully you. Huo Xiqian really wanted Huamin to come home. Why? Because he wanted to get close to her and grow up with her. Then he would slowly bring her to his side. To Huo Xiqian, Huamin was the only salvation in his dark world. He wanted to save himself. Thank you for your kindness, but it's okay. Huamin took the money and left without looking back. After leaving Huo Xiqian's house, Huamin excitedly rushed to the jade shop. Now that he had money, he was more confident. Can I trouble you to customize a jade seal for me? Huamin was a little excited. Okay, what name should I write? Just write Qin Chu? No, write the character Chu. Okay. Oh no, let me think. Huamin had already made up his mind, but when he arrived there, he changed his mind at the last minute. In the end, she gritted her teeth and said to the salesperson, "Please help me engrave these words, the life of Chu Mian." Okay, are you sure? You can't change it? Yes, I'm sure. Alright, then I'll have to trouble you to pay. The jade is 5,000 yuan, and the craftsmanship is 800 yuan. The total is 5,800 yuan. Alright. Huamin took out the money he had just earned from Huo Xiqian and handed 58 notes to the salesperson. Then he received a receipt. This is for you. Come here to get it in 3 days. Okay. Walking out of the jade shop, Huamin was in a great mood. She imagined that 3 days later, Qin Chu would be very happy to see this gift. 6 p.m., Huamin went to the restaurant they had arranged to meet. The three of them were already there. Huamin was the last to arrive. As soon as she sat down, Zhu Lingling complained, "My Mian, can you not dress like a polar bear? Look at the girls in our school, none of them are like you. They all wear coats or thick jackets. Only you wear a down jacket. You look like a big loaf of bread." Huamin smiled. "I'm afraid of the cold." Then she took off her down jacket. Qin Chu reached out to take it and hung it up for her. "Qin Chu, don't you care about her? Look at her taste. She's like a Yugoslav." Zhu Lingling had always complained about Huamin's taste in clothes. In fact, Huamin had good taste, but she had to consider her family's financial situation. Chapter 4760. It's good that she's like this. Qin Chu had always been protective. Fine. You have a strong taste, so I didn't say anything. It's fine as long as you two like each other. Seeing that she was in the wrong, Zhu Lingling couldn't be bothered to say anything. How dare you talk about her? Look at you. What are you wearing in the middle of winter? Your shoulders are exposed. Aren't you cold? Gao Ran criticized Zhu Lingling. I like it. Money can't buy it. What can you do about it? I don't care about you. I have nothing to do. I'll eat melon seeds myself. I don't care about you. Thus, the two of them started arguing again. Qin Chu and Huamin were already used to it. Qin Chu cut the steak and handed it to Huamin with a fork. Zhu Lingling and Gao Ran were fed dog food. Hey, by the way, Mian, how was your tutoring this afternoon? Did it go well? Zhu Lingling asked casually. Huamin felt a little guilty. After all, she knew that Qin Chu didn't want her to have any contact with Huo Xiqian. So she nodded and said perfunctorily, "It's fine, it's the same as this morning." Gao Ran took a sip of his drink and teased Huamin, "Brainiac, how much have you made recently?" "More than 1,000. Huamin said. "Then shouldn't you treat us to a big meal or something?" "Sure." Huamin nodded. "No." Qin Chu refused. "I'm asking Huamin to treat us, why are you in such a hurry? It's hard for her to make money. What do you want to eat? I'll treat you." "I'm the same as her," Qin Chu said. Ioyo, Zhu Lingling and Gao Ran jeered at the same time. Huamin's face turned slightly red. "Do you have to be so obvious? Eat your food." Qin Chu covered Gao Ran's mouth. Qin Chu actually felt bad that Huamin had to go out to work during the winter vacation. Because the weather was 20 degrees below zero, Huamin was as cold as a walking radish when he sat on the bus. Running all over the place to tutor others was indeed not easy. But he couldn't help her. Last time, when he returned from Mount Yinding, the money that he had secretly placed in her wallet had been returned by her. Because of this, Huamin angrily warned him that if he did this again in the future, he would definitely ignore him. Qin Chu was so scared that he didn't dare to give the money directly. He could only pretend to meet her by chance, drive her a few times or buy her some hot milk tea. After dinner, Qin Chu drove Huamin home. Gao Ran took a taxi to send Zhu Lingling home. What was rare was that this was the first time Gao Ran officially sent Zhu Lingling off. It was rare that everyone was in a good mood today. Unexpectedly, when they were waiting for a taxi, they met an acquaintance. A black Mercedes-Benz 600 stopped in front of them. The car window slowly rolled down, revealing a delicate face. Gao Ran, why are you standing here? I'm having dinner with a friend and then I'll send her home. Gao Ran smiled. It's cold, why are you waiting here? It's not easy to get a taxi here. Come get in, I'll send you home. That's not good, right? Gao Ran was a little hesitant. Hurry up and get in. The girl insisted, so Gao Ran had to bite the bullet and get in. He even brought Zhu Lingling with him. Zhu Lingling wanted to refuse, but when she saw that Gao Ran had taken the initiative to open the car door for her, she was too embarrassed to refuse. After getting in the car, she realized that the atmosphere was very awkward. Zhu Lingling was sandwiched between the girl and Gao Ran. But she didn't know this girl at all, and she had never heard Gao Ran mention her. Hello, I'm Yu Wenwen. The girl smiled. Zhu Lingling. Gao Ran, is this your classmate? The girl asked him. Chapter 4761. MHM, yes. Gao Ran didn't explain further. A few days ago, Uncle Gao came to my house for tea. My dad also said that he's going to Fiji for a vacation in a few days and wants to invite your whole family, but Uncle doesn't have time. My mom said that you and your mom should come with us. My dad invested some money there to develop tourism there. That island is very beautiful. I might not have time. I have a basketball game in a few days. Then I won't go either. I'll go and cheer you on. It was obvious that the girl liked Gao Ran. Throughout the entire process, Zhu Lingling didn't say a word because she couldn't get a word in. The girl had a chauffeur when she went out. She drove a Mercedes-Benz and carried a Chanel bag. The bracelet on her hand was Cartier, which was worth more than 200,000 yuan, and her shoes were worth more than 10,000 yuan. Zhu Lingling knew that Zhu Lingling was the daughter of a rich family. She also heard that Gao Ran's father was a high official and knew many high-ranking officials and dignitaries. Now it seemed that there was indeed a difference between her world and theirs. At this moment, she suddenly understood why Mian always said that she and Qin Chu were in a different world. It turned out that she felt it too. She originally wanted to confess to Gao Ran in front of her house. Now it seemed that he might have a better candidate. Stop the car in front, I want to get off, Zhu Lingling suddenly said. Isn't your house in Chaoyang district? Oh, my grandma's house is here. I suddenly miss my grandma, please stop. Just like that, Zhu Lingling got off the car halfway. I'll drive you. Gao Ran was about to get off the car. No need, you can accompany your friend. Goodbye. Zhu Lingling smiled awkwardly, and then almost ran away in a panic. Gao Ran wouldn't know that Zhu Lingling had planned to confess that night. However, she was interrupted by an uninvited guest. 3 days later. Huamin finished working for the holidays and asked Qin Chu to meet her. That day, she held the jade seal and waited in a Western restaurant with a good environment. She had sent a message to Qin Chu in the morning. Although he did not reply, he would definitely come when he saw it. She directly sent the location and time and then waited here. Huamin never dreamed that the person who came was not Qin Chu, but Qin Chu's mother. Qin Chu woke up early that day and went to the construction site with his father. It was said that there was a murder case there. Therefore he forgot to bring his phone. However, when Qin Chu's mother was packing up, she saw the message on her son's phone. Then he went to meet her. When a beautiful middle-aged woman sat in front of Huamin, her heart began to beat wildly. Hello, I am Qin Chu's mother. Hello, Auntie. Huamin pretended to be calm. I saw the message you sent to my son. Huamin didn't say anything. She bit her lip nervously. If I may ask, you are his classmate, right? Yes, Auntie. We are in the same class. Then why did you ask my son out for dinner alone? Are you two close friends? Mama Qin asked. Qin Chu has helped me a lot, so I want to express my gratitude, Huamin explained, not wanting to embarrass herself. If that's the case, then there's no need. My son is kind and treats everyone well. He has helped a lot of people over the years, even the beggars on the street. So you don't have to take it to heart. Huamin still didn't say anything, but her heart was already aching. Child, don't send messages to my Chu anymore. Girls should save some dignity for themselves. After saying this, Qin Chu's mother turned and left. Huamin's tears fell. She tightly held the seal that she didn't have time to give away. For the first time in so many years she was wrong because of Qin Chu. Many years later, Huamin woke up in the middle of the night. She picked up her phone and saw a WeChat message from Zhu Lingling. Mian, are you going to the class reunion tomorrow? I heard. Ms. Yao is back. Qin Chu and Huamian. Chapter 4762. In July it was raining in Jiangnan. A girl in a black windbreaker walked in the heavy rain with a transparent umbrella. Her steps were light, and when she stepped on the ground, her steps were so steady that the rain didn't even splash on her. She came to her rented apartment at a leisurely pace. It was an old tube-shaped apartment, and most of the residents were widowed old people. The girl covered her face with an umbrella, so no one could see her face clearly. She took out a key and unlocked the old door. Then she opened the door and walked in. She even put away the umbrella without hesitation. Don't move. In the corner, two men in black came out of nowhere. Their faces were covered and they had pistols in their hands. One of them walked out from the left and the other from the right, aiming at her temple. The girl didn't panic. She casually placed the umbrella on the cabinet by the door. Then she put down the vegetables in her left hand. Good, I bought a lot of groceries today. Do you want to stay and eat hot pot with me? She smiled. Don't play tricks. Damn girl, tell me, where is the professor? The girl sighed slightly. Then she sat down on the table and leisurely poured herself a cup of herbal tea. I've told you many times, if you want to find the old man, you should go to him. Why are you looking for me? It's so annoying. Since you don't want to talk, we can only take you away. I believe our boss has many ways to make you talk. After speaking, one of the assassins walked over quickly, trying to grab the girl. But before he could even touch her shoulder, the young lady made her move. Crack, crack. In just 2 moves, both of his hands were broken, just like a butterfly with broken wings. Everything happened in a split second. When the other assassin came to his senses, he shot at the girl. The girl, who was sitting down, suddenly did a backflip. She flew up from the chair and snatched the shot. Then something flew out of her sleeve. It directly cut through the man's neck. The other assassin fell to the ground with a little blood flowing out of his neck. Beside him was a murder weapon card. There were only 2 words on it: Lu Yen. Your boss is so useless. How can he send out such a person? What an insult to my intelligence. Lu Yen looked at the other assassin with broken hands. That person had a backbone. He was in great pain, but he refused to beg for mercy. He lay on the ground in so much pain that he wished he was dead. Lu Yen turned around and sat down at the square table to continue drinking tea. Looking at the heavy rain outside the window, she was still in the mood to sing softly. The banana leaves outside the curtain provoked the sudden rain, the door knocker provoked the copper green, and I passed by Jiangnan town and provoked you. Jay Chou's Blue and White Porcelain was one of her favorite songs. She felt that it was very artistic. When she imagined that scene, she felt that it was extremely beautiful. The killer kicked the ground with both hands and then used his mouth to pick up the pistol that had fallen earlier. But before he could do anything, he saw the girl's high heels hook him forcefully. With a muffled sound, the pistol pierced through the killer's throat. It took less than a minute for the 2 assassins to die. Yes, only 60 seconds. Then, she continued to drink her tea calmly. He didn't seem to care about the smell of blood in the air. To her, killing people was as simple as eating and drinking. She was one of the most famous assassins in the world. She was the king of mercenaries in the mercenary world. She was a girl who had just celebrated her 20th birthday. Her name was Lu Yen. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.